It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here, Stacey Higginbotham, Ant Pruitt. Lots to talk about. Android 11 is out. We'll talk about some of the new features. There's some really interesting stuff. Ant, find some really good stuff, as a matter of fact. We'll play Doom on a pregnancy test. I'm not kidding. And then we're going to talk about Steve Gibson's suggestion for securing IoT and get Stacey Higginbotham's reaction. She's not sure it's going to work. It's all coming up next on Twig. This Week at Google comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Securing every access point in your company doesn't have to be a challenge. LastPass unifies access and authentication to make securing your employees simple and secure, even when they're working remotely. Check out lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 576, recorded Wednesday, September 9th, 2020. Stardenburdenhardenbart. This episode of This Week in Google is brought to you by Melissa. Like expired milk, 30% of your customers' data goes bad every year. That's money down the drain. Visit Melissa's developer portal for free access to data quality APIs, demos, and code samples. Freshen up your sour data today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google. The Googlers have assembled. I don't know what I call you guys. Ant Pruitt is here from Hands-On Photography. Our own Ant Pruitt from the Twit Studios North, where you've got the window open. You're muted right now, Ant. You got the window open because...
I didn't mean to be muted. I'm sorry about that.
I didn't mean that. Because it's such a weird day in the Bay Area right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture from your balcony. And I'll also show you the picture in the New York Times where they called it a nuclear winter over the Bay Area. And this is what it looked like this morning when I got up at about 10 a.m.
It's morning.
It's morning. It should be bright. That's Jeff Jarvis. So good to see Jeff.
I am in nice and safe New Jersey,
Safe
where
New Jersey.
it is
Who would have thought
79 degrees.
Oh, it's
Look at that
come to
beautifully
believe
lit room.
It's nice.
Beautiful sun.
Here it is. You know, California is meant to be admired, not inhabited. I've come to conclude.
Now you tell
Who
me.
would have thought the air would be better in New Jersey than in
New Jersey.
Hey, yo.
Jeff is the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Good to see you, Mr. J.
Good to see you as ever.
And from the not burning portion of Washington State, Stacey Higginbotham joins us. She writes the Stacey on IoT newsletter at staceyoniot.com and co-hosts the IoT show with Kevin Toffel.
So she wore that top in solidarity with California.
Yeah, I was
Oregon.
saying her top matches our sky.
I got fancy today because I did a thing with I did a panel and
Nice.
was up at 6:30 working. I'm like,
for you.
Shine.
Good for you. You've been working hard. So yeah, I mean, it's not news, certainly not tech news, but because of the wildfires all over
That never
the state.
stops us.
Yes, good point.
Yeah.
We, the state of California has already set a record for the number of acres burned, 2.3 million
Awful.
acres burned. And it's not even the height of the wildfire season. We got them early this year because of the freak thunderstorms we had a couple of weeks ago. So this could be the beginning of the end. It's not good. And you know, the truth is ProPublica had a very good article. The president wasn't far wrong when he said we haven't been raking our public lands properly. It wasn't raking exactly. What we haven't been doing is regular controlled burns. We stopped doing that about 40 years ago. California is a Mediterranean climate that is supposed to burn. It's supposed to burn on a regular basis. But because we have been very good at fire suppression, we've kind of built up a fire debt. Normally what would happen is you would have, these burns periodically. They've been going on for millennia. And, of course, with no inhabitants, that's no big deal. as we got to
try to tell that to the squirrels, but
well, squirrels just run away. But now, because everywhere is built up, the state of California, which used to do these controlled burns, the ideal would be kind of a checkerboard where you burn in safe spaces, you burn it controlled, and then you don't have these big wildfires. But we stopped that about 40 years ago, and ever since, wildfires have been worse and worse.
One doubts whether they could control them very well now.
I don't think so. There are not enough firefighters. That's part of the problem, especially since here's another happy stat. We used to use prisoners for $5 an hour. We would most of the fire suppression was done by prisoners, but they've been sent home because of COVID. They're either sick or not in prison anymore, and so we've lost a lot of our firefighters. So it's just a perfect storm, or an imperfect storm. This morning it was very red and just looked awful. And today, even now, right now, it looks like it's twilight. It's twilight of the gods. It's Götterdämmerung. It's terrifying.
Dämmerung.
Thank you for the correction.
Yeah, I never knew how that was pronounced.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I just say it as I see it. What does that mean? Götter.
The something of the gods. Right?
Dämmerung, the twilight of the gods. Götter.
Twilight.
Dämmerung.
Right. It's an umlaut. You can't miss the umlaut.
It's there's two umlauts in Götterdämmerung. By the way,
Mark Twain was supposedly said, I've never found this actual quote. It was told me, he said, I'll bring the vowels, you bring the umlauts. But I can't find that. I love it. So yes, it's Goethe.
Goethe. And how do you pronounce this? A umlaut?
It's like an AE.
Götterdämmerung. I should ask my son, who is actually proficient in German. And it does, in fact, here's Valhalla in flames. And it does look exactly like that. That's what we're seeing right now outside the Bay Area. That's the Golden Gate Bridge on the right. And
nailed it.
It's the East Bay right there.
There's the East Bay in flames. So I guess, Stacy, you got the same thing up north.
We've got less of it, but we can't go outside. It's still unhealthy, and there's less of smoke. I just,
in fact, when Stacy got on, I pigeonholed her for a while. What outdoor air sensor should I get? And
I said you should go with Pigeon Labs, and they have an air sensor, and you went with purple instead.
Because my producer told me.
You always do what Karsten says.
Karsten, are we going to have to fight?
As we've already established, Karsten has photos. So I have to, whatever he says, I have to do. Anyway, the air I'm sure is unhealthy, but I thought it'd be good to have a sensor. Purple and Pigeon do maps based on the sensors that they distribute. But the reason I get the purples is kind of mostly meant to be worn, right, on your body?
No, the reason you got the purple is because it's Wi-Fi connected and meant to sit on the outside of your house.
That's right. I want to just hang it on the deck.
The Pigeon it's more of a wearable device that you like snap to your purse or your backpack or
I need
whatever.
Something authoritative, because the problem is, I have the Apple Watch has an air quality index on it, but it turns out it's getting that from Healdsburg, which is up the road like 20 miles. It's not useful. I don't care what it's
way
like.
Way up the road.
Yeah, so this morning I got up and I looked out and I said, well, honey, it's red out. I don't think that's a good sign, but it smells fine. So I started opening the windows and doors because I'm trying to get some air in here. And she said, close them, I'm working.
Oh, that's right. You don't have air conditioning.
No, we do.
It was snowing ashes again today. It smelled fine, but my car is loaded up with ashes today.
So I think that's part of the problem too, is sometimes it doesn't smell smoky, but there's air is full of poisonous hydrocarbons. I know how the dinosaurs felt, right? Honey, is it okay to go outside the cave? No, it's full of that damn asteroid ruined things. Okay, so anyway, that's the story. I'm going to get that purple sensor and I'll put it up, and then that's why Karsten wants it, because he knows I live close to the studio and he can check before he comes in. He can check my sensor and see how.
There's always a method to his madness.
Yes. There is indeed.
Karsten on the chat. Karsten himself says Karsten knows all.
Yes.
Indeed.
All about Leo's checkered past.
Karsten has a better hype man than I do.
Yeah. So what should we talk about today, kids? I'm getting the new Android phone from Microsoft tomorrow. That's pretty cool. The Google Duo. Ooh. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to come with Android 11, which came out yesterday. So
I haven't gotten that yet.
Well, you could get it. Just you have a Pixel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just go to your
just
updates.
Force an update.
Yeah. You don't have to force it.
I
didn't force an update. I'm just going to wait and see how soon I get it. Since it rolled out yesterday, I said, let me just see how fast I'll get it.
Does it?
Hey, did I get it?
I never wait, so I don't know. So it will tell you eventually, oh, you have an update?
Mm-hmm. Eventually, it just auto updates.
Oh, okay.
And then you'll pick up your phone, you'll enter your PIN, and then it'll be like, by the way,
overnight.
now you can do this.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't like. So I say, okay, check for update. It says it's update. I say update it. And it says, I'll update it when you're not using your phone. The only reason I'm using my phone is to update it.
Mine actually offered me the chance to, it was like, you have an update. Do you want to schedule it for 1 a.m. in the morning?
That is nice.
And I was like, thanks, Google.
Thanks, Google. So
I always forget,
where
do I get to it? System?
Yeah, it's weird. It's you have to dig for it, believe it or not.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, it's not in immediately obvious system, and then you have to do advanced, and then at the bottom, system update.
So I remember on the show we used to get so excited. We'd all spend the whole show trying for an update. All the new things are coming.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's just
the
not
phone
exciting.
book is in. The phone book is in.
Why is it not exciting now?
I
know why it's not exciting for me, but I want to know why.
I can't name one new feature that I'm saying, oh, gosh, I got to have Android 11.
When was the last time?
Yeah.
10 was big because...
Well, no. Go on.
I feel like there was... I really like that behind-the-scenes transcription thing, live transcribe, I guess they call it.
Mm-hmm.
That was new in 10, right? Or was it a Pixel
thing?
Have you actually used it, or you just demoed it?
I use it a lot.
Well, you do.
Yeah, in fact, sometimes I just leave it on. I'll tell you why. When I'm watching YouTube videos in bed and I don't want to wake anybody up, I can see the text.
Yes.
You could also use earphones.
You know, mine's telling me that the new features include improved device and media controls. I can manage my conversations in one place. That is a lie, Google. I know it's not true. Built-in screen recording and more privacy controls.
It's really not different. I think maybe the one thing that you would like, Stacy, is now you have these scenes that you can do with the Google Assistant.
Right.
So when you press the on-off switch, you get the same old choices, emergency, restart power. But now you'll also see the Google Pay, and at the bottom here, you see these tiles that are home automation scenes. So that's
Kevin loves those.
Yeah. You have to set them up, and I guess one of these days here, I'll show you on mine. I have a couple of things. I don't have Google Pay payment method in here for some reason. But, yeah, that's nice. That's easy to get to. Now, we're in... it's true for all the devices and all the computers too.
Yep.
There isn't really anything you say, oh God, this is huge. I got to have this. That's why I'm excited about the Duo, because it's a hardware form factor change. Yeah. Software hasn't been updated in a while.
That's a big shift, big iteration as far as form factors go.
Yeah.
It's not just another candy bar size slate of glass.
So here's that messages thing that they were talking about, Stacy, which is you can see if you've got a thread. Oh, it went away. What did I do? I have to refresh maybe. If you've got a thread of messages, you can see each individual thread.
Okay.
And then you can control it individually as well. You can say, oh, that's Principal Tobin. That's got to be a priority. That kind of thing.
Part of me really would love to, and this is really only an issue with my family and with Kevin, but is to be able to, they're on Google Meet still, or chat, or Hangouts. I don't know what we're using. We're using Hangouts, and then I'm also texting them, and then back and forth. I kind of want to be like, show me everything from Kevin, so I can, because sometimes he sends me stuff, but I don't remember where he sent it. And the same thing with my husband. So, but that's just too hard.
There's this bubbles thing, which I actually like. Facebook introduced this, but I also have to point out this is a security flaw, and Google, which knows it's a security flaw, keeps it in initially because of Facebook, and now others. It's the ability of an application to write over other applications. And that allows an application, for instance, to superimpose something over a form. Like, so you think you're at your bank, but instead it's malicious application just stealing the login by superimposing something over on top of another one. So you should only allow this if it's something you really trust. The Facebook chat bubbles, and now bubbles, I guess, are in Android messaging. They are not, as far as I can tell, in Hangouts, which is what I still use because I'm a Google Fi user. So, but I think on the Duo I will have to use this. So, but I won't have an Android 11, so you can never win. Bubbles are nice. You drag them around. You pop them if you don't like that person. Yeah. Capture and share content, built-in screen recording. Finally, so that is surprising because Apple's had that on iOS forever. So you don't need an extra app. You can just record with sound from your mic, so you can even narrate your screen recording.
That is the feature that excited the hardhead yesterday afternoon. I think it was about 1 o'clock or so. Our group hangout pinged with Android 11 is here, or something like that.
He was excited. That's so cute.
And he was pretty pumped up because he read through it and he saw that feature and he was like, yes, screen recording. And it really blew my mind to see how that feature excited him in particular. This is a kid that barely talks to me.
But he had to text you. Maybe he'll send you some screen recordings if you're really lucky.
I know that's coming.
Dad, look what I did. It just feels like it's all, smart reply, which of course we've seen. First we saw an inbox and we see it in other places. Now smart reply will happen in your text conversations. There are app suggestions. I don't like that at all. The bottom row of your home screen, see your most used apps on the home screen. There apparently are better names, better suggestions for folder names when you organize.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, like, come on.
Who was the product manager with that? Stuck with that one?
Yeah. I feel like the problem is it's done.
Yeah.
And there's not much more to do.
Can you imagine what the next phase of a phone should be?
It shouldn't be a phone.
Holograms.
Yeah, I know. So what is it instead?
I kind of like the idea of glasses. I really do. I like the idea of glasses. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of a projector.
That's PTSD for me, but go ahead.
A projector?
A projector.
I wonder why.
No, the glasses.
He had the Google Glass.
Yeah.
Oh.
He got beat up in a men's bathroom. Don't ask him about it. It's
yeah, okay.
that was Scoble.
Oh, that's right. Never mind.
Anyway.
Projector. That's interesting.
I think in the home, having a projector integrated in more places and I've seen some really cool ones where you can actually interact with it. So when you touch, it'll project a screen on, you can interact with it, and then it'll like to press a button or to swipe right, swipe left, whatever. Those are kind of really interesting to me just because I don't want to have to pull out the screen. I want the screen to just appear where I need it to be. That's why I'm also excited about glasses.
Well, and, Android Auto is another example where it's projecting your phone onto the car's screen. And actually, this is the introduction of wireless Android Auto. So Apple's going to do wireless CarPlay, and Android 11 has wireless Android Auto. So you don't have to connect. Used to, you have to connect with a cable. I think that's an example. I think the idea is that this data and computing power that you're holding in your hand should manifest itself in other places, like on your eyes or on your car's screen, or I don't know, on your Google Assistant.
So if you want it, you carry a little computer globule on you somewhere, and you can have it on your phone, you can have it on the nearest TV, you can have it on a wall, you can have it on your glasses. It doesn't matter. The computing is occurring, but the interaction can be anywhere.
Yes. It's computing at the edge, right, Stacey? Isn't that what the...
Yes, if we would like to call it computing at the edge, sure.
I would like to.
I mean, it is. It is this idea. Think about it less as computing as the edge, and think about it more as distributed computing. Yeah. So you're putting the compute where it needs to be.
It's locally distributed, as opposed to
Centralized.
The internet.
But it doesn't.
Right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is if we could figure out ways to do this and share identity in a way that is acceptable to the user and in a way that is scalable and not controlled by like one corporation, we could have a lot of really interesting where like my computer glob, for lack of a better word, talks.
Hey, I like it.
Come in. Yeah, I'm like computer glob. I walk into a restaurant, the computer glob can say to, the restaurant, hey, Stacy's allergic to bell peppers and she hates the following music. And that may or may not be interesting to the restaurant.
I
right?
can't wait
But
till your
the
computer
idea
glob is fighting the other guy's computer glob because he says, I like that music. And
well, and that's what's kind of fun is figuring out like in a world where you have all of your preferences traveling with
Mediation.
you, how do you mediate a shared environment, which we're seeing at a very small level in the smart home, right?
Yep.
And we're doing a terrible job at it.
But it's early days, and I think you nailed it because in effect, that's what your phone is your glob, because your identity is in there, and especially with fingerprint or face recognition, it's a pretty strong identity token. It has all your preferences in there. It has the computing power to share it, spread it. It's got the radios to do the same. The one thing that is missing from your description is it's not ecumenical. It's either Google or Apple. It's not cross-platform. So I agree with you. We need something that is not tied to a company that does this. But right now, you're going to choose Google or Apple. I could see you design
that, and it could switch on and off. It could license Android. It could license Apple. It could go back and forth. Stacy, obviously, Karsten loves you best.
Why do you
say the show
that?
Title already here is Stacy's computer glob.
No, but I think, Stacy, you're onto something. I actually think that's an actual description of where we're headed. Except for that one, piece where it's... But, there are people like Tim Berners-Lee. In fact, I can now kind of a little bit more understand what TBL was trying to do. He started a new company. He's, of course, the inventor of the web. And he started a new company that was kind of around that idea of controlling your data, having an enclave where your data is stored, and then there'd be various manifestations of it.
Well, that's a little bit different because that's your data as opposed to your connectivity.
Well, no, it's the idea of your data and your identity. It's not – the idea is the connectivity is a solved problem. The next problem to solve is like how do you share your preferences in a way? It's basically – think about it like you've got to create a directory of people, right? And you've got to have an active directory of like who can access what – and who can share what things. And it has to be federated across any service out there. And that's where you're like, because we don't even have one identity. And we may not want one identity.
This is Solid, is what he calls it. It's the Solid project. And actually, there's a new website. I'm looking at the MIT version. Solid is a technology like the web, but a new level of standard which adds the existing protocols to make it more powerful, and particularly to empower individuals at home and work. That's a singularly awful vision statement. But it's a single global logon. It's a place to store securely and privately your information. I mean, it really is the phone, because without internet connectivity, without connectivity of any kind, it's useless. It's a blob. It's literally a paperweight. But
it's a glob. Get your
glob or blob.
It's a glob, not a blob.
Okay,
it's a glob,
so a blob has no connectivity. A glob has connectivity.
Yes.
Right. So, but Stacy, I'm going to disagree to an extent. In essence, now the entire internet comes down to your phone, and that's where it stops. Right. What we're saying with what you're saying with that is that now the entire internet comes down to your glob, but it can go back out to the restaurant, to the nearest TV, to your car, to whatever. So there is a connectivity out from the glob that still needs to be solved. It's solvable. Well, it's very solvable, but it's not presented as a product yet.
So it's not the connectivity that needs to be, and maybe I'm thinking you're being more technical than you are. So that's my bad if so. But we have connectivity that allows us to talk to our glob, our phone, to talk to other globs in the restaurant.
It's not productized anywhere.
Solid assumes
have a framework.
connectivity. All Solid talks about
we don't
is,
have a framework.
is a place to put your data and protocols to talk to other globs, but it assumes connectivity. Otherwise, it makes no sense at all. So I still would submit that it's kind of like maybe a secure enclave in your iPhone or Knox in your Samsung phone. It's a secure space only you have the keys to, where you put your stuff, your data, and then you have the permissions. You share it, but you still need the hardware around it, whether it's a web server or a smartphone or something. Otherwise, it's nonsensical. You can't share it. That doesn't make any difference if you have it.
I'm trying to make up what GLOB would stand for. Chat room?
A global location only
biome.
Biome. That's it. Global location.
Glob.
Location oriented biome. Your global location oriented biome.
And so you can breathe.
I think that's very good. I think this is it. We've solved it.
We have solved the future of computing right here.
Well, it seems to be. It seems to be, though, there's some consensus that we need some control over our data.
Yes. And identity.
And identity. Yep.
Right? Or identities, plural.
Yep. So let me read what Wikipedia says. The project, actually, and this is a quote, aims to radically change the way web applications work today, resulting in true data ownership as well as improved privacy by developing a platform for linked data applications that are completely decentralized and fully under users' control rather than controlled by other entities. The ultimate goal of Solid is to allow users to have full control of their own data, including access control and storage location. I think that's exactly what we're talking about, right? And the phone just is a logical candidate because it's basically your pocket computer.
Well, you have a dongle in your pocket.
Yeah.
And it can talk to a piece of glass if you like using that.
Right.
It can talk to other things. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So
when he
first announced
what's the business model for that?
Do we have a dongle or a glob?
It's a
your glob has to have a dongle. Yeah. Yeah, but if you don't have a dongle on your glob.
You know what, Stacy? It's a virtual dongle because it can plug into anything without the actual plug. So it's a glob.
Quick,
it's a dongly glob.
Are there cookies involved with this dongle glob?
Yes, we'll just call them something else so you moral panic people don't get all scared of them. But the business model for this becomes a problem because how does Apple make money? By selling you phones.
You pay for it. You pay for this and you create a service around it. So you say to yourself,
it's a service business, not a hardware business anymore.
Right. You say, is it worth it for me for the world to adapt itself to me as an individual and my wants and needs whenever I go places, and I will pay for that?
Yes.
We'll call it a concierge service.
You know who wins that maybe first is Amazon.
Yes, very possibly.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
You're gonna need to negotiate with commercial entities for a number of things. Your blob storage could be Dropbox, could be your iPhone, could be Apple. So you want a trusted partner that you could say, here, you have to keep this secure, and I'm the only one who has access to it. You have to have a company like Apple create the access mechanisms, whether it's Face ID or Touch ID or whatever. Yep. And then you also have to have somebody provide the connectivity. What we're talking about is something that computing's always needed, which is protocols, agreed upon ways of communicating. So I can say, for instance, okay, I allow this restaurant to know what my food preferences are. You'd have to have that.
And you're going to need data models for all of those different scenarios.
Right.
And this is why I said you got to call the IETF.
Right, because you need XML schema for food preferences.
All right, so you're Reid Hoffman, who just started a new fund, and he's waiting for a company to buy
of LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, right? So it's one of those backwards IPO things where he has the fund and it'll buy a company to make it. That's how it goes public without having to go public.
Yep.
So you're Reid Hoffman and you're an entrepreneur and you're going to disrupt Google, Apple, Amazon.
It's funny you should call it that because Tim Berners-Lee's commercial entity to do this is called Inrupt.
Oh,
So you're kind of not far off. Okay, go ahead.
actually, that sounds painful. So you're going to start it. Ooh, I got a bad interrupt in my side here. Ooh,
I prefer an exrupt if you don't mind.
yeah. So what company do you start to do this? You were the obnoxious.
I feel like this is something that would actually be started at a big company and spun out into an open source project. So I feel like it's like an Ethernet kind of situation that was invented. Was it who invented it?
Bob
Xerox?
Metcalf
3M?
at 3M. Yeah.
I know Bob Metcalf.
Yeah.
Ugh. Sorry.
Wow.
What did he ever do to you?
Holy cow.
Jeez.
Is there a story there?
Oh, man.
No, every time I have to interview Bob Metcalf, everything boils down to Ethernet. I'm like, I get
Didn't
it.
you do anything else, Bob?
That is your
Get over
hammer.
it, man.
Everything.
3Com, not
failed.
3M. 3Com. I'm
3Com,
sorry. Yeah.
that's
Well, Stacy, the good news is the Glob is going to replace the Ethernet, so he's done with. You'll never have to interview him again once the Glob exists.
Like it's fine. I just you get excited.
I know
You're like,
you talk to Vince Cerf, and all he wants to talk about is the internet, the internet, the internet, the internet. Come on,
I know you did that, but let's talk about something new and exciting. What's next?
Neil Laporte talks about podcasts.
Podcast.
Ay, ay, ay.
I actually am excited by this. And part of the reason I
I
am
am
is
too.
because when Tim announced this, I was like, well, in fact, we talked about it on Twig a year ago. It's like, what is that? I don't even understand it. But now I think, thanks to you, Stacy, I kind of get the outlines of why this would be. And there are definitely opportunities. I mean, a lot of existing incumbents like Dropbox or Microsoft or Amazon might well say, we want to be the trusted storage location for your data, right?
Some people think of it like a DNS for your data, right? So you know how when I do a URL, I go to a DNS lookup service. Yeah. Think about that for building a service for looking up my data. So there have been a couple companies that have started around this. There were a spate of them probably 10 years ago. Anyway, yeah, this is fun. I love thinking about this stuff. What really happens?
I actually talked. Go ahead. To Tim Berners-Lee about this about 3 or 4 years ago when he advised a company that came out of MIT that I ended up investing in and briefly advising until I did them no good because they were trying to go into media and media people were stupid. But he was germinating that then. And what we were talking about is that there are trusted third parties that can, and this is the key, that can hold your data and have the mechanisms to act on your behalf upon your order.
Perfect.
Right. And so this company, Infinite Analytics, which is still going strong, was a way to use your social genome to improve commerce recommendations. Right. And my vision for the media, the reason they brought me in for a brief while, but media people again were too stupid, was that imagine you have Hearst and Condé Nast, and this is personalization that works for you. Right. So Hearst knows what Hearst knows about you. Condé Nast knows what Condé Nast knows about you. And then here's the third party, Infinite Analytics, and it does a service for both of them, and it improves recommendations on both services. But because it knows about me independently, I can give it permission to say, without telling Hearst anything, to use its knowledge of me at Condé Nast and use that to improve the recommendations I get at Hearst, or vice versa. That won't work between the companies because they don't trust each other. It won't work for me if I have to have them keep my stuff. But if the third party keeps it, and Tim was saying, Sir Tim was saying that his dream was that was a way in which you could store and activate your own data across multiple parties. So he's been talking about this for years.
See, I'm listening to this, and it makes me think of the CRMs that are out there and how they try to model all of this data for different customers in their system versus the different representatives in-house, and all of the gazillion different attributes and the gazillion different scenarios that you could be put into. And it just seems like it could be a bit of a coding nightmare from far as being a software as a service type of thing, like Ms. Stacy was saying.
That's why you need established protocols that make that a little easier. But yeah, this is never going to happen. It's tough to see a business, maybe not never, but
Jeez,
It'll be
pessimistic,
a long
cynical,
time.
moral panicker. Jeez, Stacy, have a little optimism.
Dang,
Jeez.
Jeff, just load
Stacey,
on the pejorative.
Wait a minute, Stacy, you just invented it and killed it in the same show.
I didn't invent it. It's
what is that term?
part of the zeitgeist.
No. What is the term Einstein used for the thought experiment? The Gedanken. What's that? It's another German word. Anyway, that's what we've been doing. We've been doing a thought experiment. I think really interesting. Now, here's the question.
Gedanken experiment.
Gedanken.
It's the Gedanken experiment.
Gedanken experiment.
Gedanken.
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 Götterdämmerung.
Gedanken. Götterdämmerung.
Götterdämmerung.
Leistungsschutzrecht.
It's a bedankedunk.
Right after we're done with this, I've got a new German word of the week. It's a killer. It's a killer.
It's a killer?
With video.
What is it?
It's a killer. You got to go down on the rundown.
Oh, okay,
Ready
I'll
for
save
now?
it. Because I want to go back to Gedanken experiment.
There was one more thing I wanted to touch on
Please,
about
Ant.
Android 11.
Save him from this.
Oh, thank you, Ant. Thank you.
You know,
What
you,
were we
Google.
talking about? Oh, yeah, Android
I
11.
just downloaded. I'm excited.
What else are you excited about?
You know, again, my son was most excited about the screen recording, but it also made me think about it from a content creator standpoint. There's a lot of screens that I have to record for B-roll and things like that, whether it's something for hands-on wellness or hands-on tech or whatever. But it is using that third-party AZ screen recorder. I believe that's the app that I use. It works, but it'd be nice to be able to have something native and not have all the extra hoops to jump through that I have to go in and adjust in the settings menu.
We've used this on iPhone for ages, and it's a really nice feature. It's actually in the control panel on the iPhone. You just press the record button, and you can do all sorts of screen recording. And actually, I do it all the time because you want to show somebody something or how something looks. Yeah, it's a natural. So it'll be a nice feature. Also, by the way, and this is how we got into that whole Gedanken, the Gedankedonk, is these features that are starting to come out in iOS and Android are kind of, I think, leading us in this direction. For instance, this is another feature of 11, and it'll be a feature of iOS 14 as well. These permissions that when an app is first run or first installed, it's more and more we're going to have and I guess we'll get to a point where we're fatigued, but we're going to have that app say, now, this chat app wants to access the location. How do you want it? While using the app just this once or never? And then this I really like, and Apple should adopt this. If you haven't used an app in a while, Android will reset the permissions. So it will stop doing anything you told it you could do, like getting location, until such time as you use that app again. And then it'll ask you, now that's been turned off by automatically, so do you want to turn that back on? I like that. That's something Apple should adopt. This is my question. Clearly, this is what users want. We would love it if no company owned this data glob, that we had control of who gets it and who doesn't get it, perhaps getting compensated if we give up permission, that we'd love it to then be something in our pocket that then talks to our house or our restaurant or environment and interacts on our behalf, becomes an agent, a user agent for us. We would love all this. But companies are not financially incented to give up this. So how do we get what we want is the question.
So this is what I yell at Germans about. And the Germans just whine about, we don't have Google. We don't have Google. We don't have Facebook. You're the headquarters of privacy in the world.
You just did a Max Headroom. Do that whole, starting with we don't have Google.
My back. We don't have Google, says the Germans. We don't have Facebook. We should. This is awful. We're going to kill you for this. And I say, no, you're the headquarters of privacy in the world. Or as they call it, Datenschutz. Can you say that, Leo?
Datenschutz. Datenschutz.
So, which means data protection. They don't have a word for privacy. That is their word for protection. Data.
That's a good way.
Data protection.
That's a better word. Yeah.
I like it. Actually, I think privacy has its own. But anyway, so I've been saying to them, entrepreneurially, start this. right? Start the perfect privacy company. Where else should it start but Germany? Stop whining. Start investing. But they don't like to invest. They don't like to risk. But move ahead from that and stop doing protectionism as a future strategy and do this. So I think that actually this is something I wouldn't expect to come out of my mouth. But this company could actually be the child of regulation.
So
That is okay.
good
That's
luck.
Not stunning. No,
So
I
my
think-
question
I
was,
think-
how do we get this? How do we convince companies to do it? And your suggestion is, let's convince the government to do it, and they'll make the companies.
No, the Germans do it because GDPR exists, and it's the ultimate GDPR compliant company.
Okay.
He's saying build a company around the current state of regulations.
Okay.
Right. Even ahead of it.
And then build a giant lobbying arm to make sure that the regulations never change to disadvantage your company.
I apologize. Yeah, because I don't know about you guys, but I've actually come to the point of despair.
Really? You?
Me.
Mr.
I used to be happy, hap,
all
hap.
the technology around me.
I used to be happy, hap, hap. But now I've just given up on the notion that we individuals, users, will ever convince companies or government to do anything we want ever again.
1475.
Gutenberg.
Martin Luther isn't even born yet. The Reformation hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
The 30 Years' War hasn't come yet.
Yes.
No one has invented the essay. No one has invented the newspaper. No one has invented the modern novel. We are in the Stone Age of the net. Just calm down.
Has anybody invented Datenschutz yet?
They think they have in Germany, but they haven't. Tim Berners-Lee might invent it.
Because I feel like, I don't know. I think the people with money have so much money now that there's nothing we can do about it.
Can we just get that just right there, a cut of that, and we can just, in the show, just say, and now, let's take a moment for Leo's existential despair. And then we'll just cut to
I am. But I
move on.
Well done, Stacey.
I don't see any move on. Just say, pretend none of that is true, and that we have some sort of.
No, it's not pretend. So we acknowledge that that's the reality, but we also say it is fundamentally human to not give up. To fight against these things and work our way around it.
Yeah, I feel like we have no agency at all.
Have our moments. We have agency, even if it's just to stop using these products. And you know what? I am slightly optimistic. It's not going to go 100% the consumer way because there are other interests at work, and consumers honestly are wrong about some things. Like, we want everything for free and we want it to be the best and most awesome, and we don't want to pay for externalities and all of that, right? But if you look at what happened in the smart home, everyone was like, yeah, we've got this. And they built all these things.
Yeah, well, look how that turned
no one
out.
bought them.
Yeah.
Well, no, but now the powers that be are like, well, crap. That didn't work out the way we planned at all. Now we're going to have to work together and create some standards. And now we won't have as much lock-in.
Was born.
And that's why they're doing this.
Project Chip. Do you think, though, speaking from my little corner of Götterdämmerung. Götterdämmerung.
There you go. You can say it.
Look, it looks like it's the middle of the night outside. It's 3 p.m. In my little corner of the fireball burning world, it seems like, Apple, Amazon, and Google are going to just get together and there'll be an open source smart home standard that we'll all be using next year. Do you believe that? Do you think Project Chip will do better than anything else we've tried?
I believe that it will make life easier in a lot of ways for a lot of consumers and a lot of people building products. Will it solve every single problem? No. Will it address the red sky out there? Absolutely not. But I'm just pointing that out as we have felt kind of despair over things not working for a long time in this space.
Yeah.
And then the fact that nobody bought into it was a signal that the companies had to listen to. When we talk about things like climate change, if we want to go to there, we're going to have to make some painful choices, and companies are going to have to make painful. I think some of that's starting to happen. We're seeing more people who are young become vegetarians. So, in seeing lots of small changes. Will that be enough? I don't think so. But
see, Stacey,
we're trying.
Leo and I were children of the 60s.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to
reform
reform the world. We were going to end the Vietnam War. We were going to bring racial harmony.
Yeah.
We were going to kill capitalism. We were going to bring a global peace. We were just the best. And look what we did to the world.
Well, y'all were a bunch
That's
of
why he's
selfish
depressed.
kind of punks. And I get it. But I think I know that I have become much more conscious of the unseen, the externalities and the things I choose to purchase, the way I spend my money. I also know that I'm very privileged in the sense that I have money to make those choices. I don't have to buy non-organically produced cotton or something like that, right? I can buy fair trade coffee for an extra cost, but I'm willing to make those things, and I don't know if it's helping, but I'm putting my money where my values are right now because I have the ability to, and because I think it's more important than just buying more stuff. And I think other people are doing the same. And I think there are people making choices that will help. And I think we need to just get things like our stock markets and our fiduciary duties aligned with where we really want things to go. And I think that's hard right now, given some of the leadership. These are hard problems, but at least we're talking about them. At least people are starting to acknowledge them. And in some ways, the backlash is so large because we're talking about them more. Good. And it's threatening more people.
Good. I feel so much better.
Yeah, what about Google? Sorry.
You want the German word?
What?
You want the German word?
Yeah, what's the German
It'll
word?
make you happy.
Yeah.
Go down on the rundown. I know I'm not going to say it. You got to play it.
I got to play it.
Don't worry, Karsten.
Don't
it's
say
like
it.
a Facebook video. There's no music or anything. It'll be fine.
And where did you put it?
It's down in the rundown. It says
line.
Hold on.
Line.
Hold
I
on.
see it. I see it.
141.
The one that says Stardenburdenhardenbart.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna love this.
Okay. Oh, I'm not a Facebook
You're gonna
user.
hate Facebook, but you're gonna love this.
Do you see what it just did, by the way? It put a picture of this guy. It said, if you want to see more of him, you could sign up. Okay, here you go. This is how you call cats in German.
Kitty, kitty, kitty. Not working. Nabia, nabia, nabia. No.
That's Korean.
Kiss, kiss, kiss.
That's Russian.
Stardenburdenhardenbart. Oh, German always works.
Cat came.
Nice.
Stardenhund.
Kitty, kitty, kitty. Not working. Me, me, me. No.
Chinese.
Michu, michu, michu.
Italian.
Stardenburdenhardenbart. Oh, German always works. Kitty, kitty, kitty.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Stardenhund.
Well, the link below. He goes on forever with this.
He does. He calls his cat, and only it says, but it can mean a lot of things. For example, I love you, or hey, look at me, or come here. It's used to get the attention of animals, and it works because it's funny. Okay. Stardenburdenhardenbart. Stardenburdenhardenbart.
And this only works for cats.
That's you just made it Swedish.
The Swedish chef says that. Stardenburdenhardenbart.
Speaking of the Swedish chef,
Yes.
if you have Disney Plus,
what an amazing.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, I do have Disney Plus.
the
Yes.
Swedish chef cooking segment on the Muppet Show
Yes.
is amazeballs. I love it so much.
Is this a
That is
new
all.
one or the old one that's been around
It's
for?
the new Muppet talk show that they rebooted for Disney
and
Plus.
you're telling me? Are you telling me that they?
It's
Wow. They have a
Wonder if I still know
it's
my Disney
Bookie
Plus
Dookie
login.
Cooking.
Bookie Dookie Cooking.
Yes, that's what it's called, and it's so great. They have the best people come on and make things, and the Swedish chef is just ridiculous.
I
It
could,
is so-
if I were, for instance, right now, to play that, I think Carson would actually fall over dead.
Yeah, we can't play it.
Should
but
I try it?
I'm just gonna let y'all know that y'all should, if you have it, you have to do the whole show. But the okie dokie cooking, so good.
This is the Muppets. No, wait a minute. That's the movie, The Muppets. You're saying there's now
No,
a
this is-
show.
More trouble.
There's a show
It's
on ABC.
yeah,
this
it's
one.
Muppets Now.
The Muppets return with a
think is what it's
documentary-style show. Let's see if I can find the Swedish Chef. I know Carson's already
It's called Muppets Now.
having. Yeah, Carson's already having a little bit of a heart palpitation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Karsten.
Our work here
See his
is done.
face now.
He's turning red.
We
I see
need
it.
Karsten.
No, that's,
Camp.
that's you're looking at him through the
I see
air.
it. I see
It's
it.
fine.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's right. It's just the air. Okay, he's fine. Oh, I don't see. Oh, here it is. Oh, is this it? No, that's Fozzie Bear. Something went wrong.
Yeah.
Please try again.
Oh.
If the problem persists. Oh, I don't have DRM enabled.
Oh,
I
is
don't
that part of
believe-
your cookies as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Firefox is installing components it needed to play the audio or video on this page. Please try again later. Karsten is saved by the Firefox. But he wants to see it, he says.
Yeah, he said in the chat. he
Did
wanted
you
to
see this? Apparently, pregnancy tests that have displays have little computers in them. And a guy has created Doom on a pregnancy test. This is...
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thank you. This is kind of a meme, is Doom on something. Now he admits, well, it's really just a video of Doom playing back on a
No,
pregnancy
but
test.
then the next day,
What?
no, here he's playing it.
Oh, this is
The day
now he's actually
before,
playing
he was
it.
just playing a video. Now he's really playing it. He took the challenge. I presume it's he. I don't know.
So the reason this works apparently is
who else would waste their time?
the
this way?
pregnancy test, the digital one, same test. It's still got a paper strip, which still does turns color, but there's a scanner. This is a perfect example of consumerism in the end times. It wasn't enough
or
just to
geekdom, Leo. Or
read a
geekdom.
paper test. They have now built a disposable
yes.
plastic
Yes.
thing, one-use thing that has inside it a computer and a scanner that scans the paper test, and then the computer converts it to thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't know what the result is. It's a sufficiently
It
sophisticated...
tells you you're very pregnant.
Yeah, sufficiently sophisticated computer in this one-time use disposable piece of plastic. You could play Doom on it. Low res.
Oh, see, now you're
So
complaining.
much for Moore's Law, right?
I don't know.
Most
I feel
women
like
do not buy the digital.
please don't,
they don't buy the
folks.
digital ones.
Use the paper strip one. Plus or minus is okay.
Unless you want to play a game.
Go get a rabbit.
Get a rabbit. Yeah, that's true. At least we're not killing rabbits anymore, right? That's a good point. Single-use rabbit is even worse.
Yeah, that's true.
So here is the close-up.
See, Leo? Technology improved.
It saves the
Rabbits-
lives of rabbits, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
this is good.
Are you old enough, Jeff, to remember that?
Rabbits, yes, but I didn't cause anybody to get
No,
tested
I'm just
for
saying.
it.
I'm just
I
saying.
didn't do anything, Leo. I swear.
I think that they stopped using rabbits before I was of age, but that was the thing. They would call up with joy in your voice and say, "The rabbit died,"
Rabbit died. Yes.
and that meant you were pregnant. That's horrible. So we've come a long way. You're right, Stacy. We no longer, we don't even eat rabbits anymore. But we can put Doom on a pregnancy stick that you pee on.
Some people still eat rabbits.
128, yeah, French. If that, do they count? 128 by
You don't
You buy
32.
rabbits for consumption.
I'm
in the
just
US.
joking. I know, but we don't because we're good people. And we don't eat little Peter Rabbit.
There was actually a fascinating article a couple months ago in the New Yorker about the tensions between regulations around rabbits because they're both, all the organizations are either pet owners or eating rabbits. So there's a lot of conflicting desires in those two groups around any rules. It was really kind of interesting. Sorry.
Now I'm bummed because it turns out he actually had a breadboard and a CPU. This is not fair. He's not playing Doom on a pregnancy stick.
When he did the video one, was that the case too? Do you have to use the breadboard or no?
Yeah, he says the existing CPU cannot be reprogrammed. The existing LCD can only show 4 things, so I had to replace both to make any changes. Oh, that doesn't even count. That's not a pregnancy stick Doom.
Okay. Well, let's move to, I don't know.
How about
What are we excited about?
I'm trying to find something that's not dystopian.
We didn't even talk about Chip.
Yeah, let's talk about
Did
Chip.
you want to know what they actually said? 'Cause
Yeah,
that
I'm
was
actually
one of my
confused.
final things
Yeah,
today.
because it sounded like it was now part of Zigbee Alliance. Is that right?
So when they announced it back in December, they created it under the Zigbee Alliance.
Oh, okay.
Here's my sources, and common sense say that eventually the Zigbee Alliance, if the Chip is going to be the more successful project, will one day separate these out. But for now, and Chip will run on top of Zigbee, Thread,
Right.
Bluetooth.
Here's the
Z-Wave, all that.
pyramid from the Zigbee Alliance page.
And if you go to the GitHub, they actually take that blue application layer and they split it out even more.
Oh, interesting.
So they talk about,
Okay.
framing the framework for the request. They talk about security. They don't give you a lot of details. But the new news here, the biggest news is that they're still on track to release products next year. So, yay!
Now,
They're also...
I do have a question because Zigbee is a competitor to Z-Wave and not compatible with Z-Wave, right? Until
Yes.
the big players, Apple and Google and Amazon, got into this, it was like Zigbee versus Z-Wave. And then even before that, what was the other one that everybody bought that was practically the clapper? It was like really, anyway, there were these warring protocols, none of which understood anybody else. If Chip is part of the Zigbee Alliance, does it eliminate Z-Wave, or are they all just going to come together?
Well, they're not necessarily going to come together. So the thing to know is Zigbee and Z-Wave and all, they solved radio issues. So they solved the actual connectivity problems.
So they were at a
Z-Wave and
hardware
Zigbee are
layer.
both
They were
issues.
really lower down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you think about what Chip is going to solve, it's going to create a standardized layer for things like, hey, how do we connect this connected light bulb to the internet?
It's a software
and then
layer.
once,
Yeah.
and the application layer, software.
Application layer, yeah.
Then it's also going to say things like it's going to build a data model or a framework, as we were talking about earlier with things. This is going to say, hey, and that the light bulb will be able to say things like, I'm a light bulb. I can turn on, I can turn off, I can change colors, I can do this. And all of that will be standardized because right now you actually have to do that individually for each platform. And it's a pain in the butt.
I know. So I can see why manufacturers would like to say, look, we'd like to have one application layer that talks to everything, right? That's what they're going to
The question then, yes. But then the question becomes, how far does that standard go? Does it go so far like HomeKit did that you don't need to download the app for like the connected door lock you bought? Because the people making the connected door locks are like, hey, I need you to download my app. I want your address. So these are some of the fights that people are having. Fights is a really strong word, but these are some of the debates and places where you're trying to get value. And if you're like, should I be able to talk to Madam A and Siri and ask them both the same thing? Should I be able to set up Madam A and Siri once and have it work across all of those platforms? That's not going to happen. So there's a lot going on there.
We got a ways
that's
to go.
beyond just the radio.
We got a ways to go. Because really,
You
from
think that Glob is a funny name, Zigbee, Chip, all these things. Funny name. It's a good name. Glob.
And Z-Wave, by the way,
the global location oriented.
No, the Google lovers online.
Okay, all right.
Beloved.
I feel like, so I did recently, and actually this is kind of worth mentioning on this show. We finally got tired of, I had 2 Wi-Fi networks in the house. I had Comcast Business, Comcast Consumer. It was just a mess. And Lisa was yelling at me all the time. So we finally got somebody in, and they put Ethernet throughout the house. They crawled up in the attic. They crawled in the crawl space. There's Ethernet jacks everywhere in the house, and they installed an industrial-grade Wi-Fi network throughout the house. And they, thank God, not me, called Comcast and upgraded us to gigabit down and 40 megabits up service,
For you.
which is really nice.
Yep.
So that's all been resolved. But what hasn't been resolved is I have now, because we renamed the Wi-Fi, so we started fresh, go through the house. There's 30 or 40 little doohickeys that all have to be reprogrammed, and
This
nobody
is the sequel to the cookie drama.
nobody does it even the same way, even within a single company. So some of them, Google the Nest Hello doorbell, I just go out there and the Bluetooth, they connect, and I say, hey, new Wi-Fi, and I can do it. But the Nest camera, I have to scan a QR code on the back of the camera, which is 10
because
feet
you went
off.
through a moral panic about technology and security and privacy and everything. So they added this for you, Leo. Stop complaining.
That was within
No,
the
no,
same
no,
company.
Yeah, no, that is some of the stuff that Chip to solve. No, it's basically like, hey, when we built this is what we used. This was state of the art. When we built this, we were excited about this, so we tried this out. So you're going to see one way to get things on.
Will I be able to go to my
yes.
phone, run the Chip app, and say, hey, all of you little guys, guess what? There's a new Wi-Fi in town, and here's the password.
So this this actually ties into like the issue of, if you want all your things on the same Wi-Fi network, not everything will be on your Wi-Fi network. Some things will be on a hub. So you're going to have to manually discover your devices on your Wi-Fi network.
Yep.
I imagine, here's what I think is probably going to happen. I bet it's going to be a QR code. That's my thought.
That'll just be the way it is. There'll be a QR code and everything.
Probably.
QR codes are going to be a subject for nostalgia.
They're going to
So,
go
Leo,
with a
I'm
QCat.
gonna
It'll be with a QCat. It'll just be another.
Once you have
Leo.
your glob, it will just know it. It'll be smart. It'll do it. You don't need this QR stuff.
It'll be psychic. No, you're also going to want to take everything out of your Amazon or Google ecosystem. Just basically do a hardware reset. Because otherwise, when you change everything up, it'll double count some of your things, and then it gets all confusing, and you don't want that. So just take everything out, and it's a pain. They don't have an easy way to dump all your data unless you do a hard reset. Just letting you know. I've been there, done that.
Yeah, well, let me tell you. Yeah. I did all of the Google devices. Now I have to do all the Amazon devices. Then I have to do all the Sonos devices. Then I have to do all the Hue devices. Then I did all the Nest devices.
We should have had this pain as part of our Twit bits. This is good content. Watch you walk around and fussing all of the devices that you need to reconnect.
So now it's all
You curse too much, Ant.
And then dag nabbit, the dad gum routers. So now Steve Gibson yesterday throws me a curve. Because he's, for the first time ever, Steve never had any IoT devices in the house. What does he do?
Oh, boy.
Steve. He decides, what did he want? He wanted to be able to turn on the AC remotely so that when he gets to the office, it's cold. Because it's been really hot around here. So instead of just doing like
burning up! But anyway.
What a normal person would do is get a Nest thermostat, right? Then it's all done.
Yep.
No.
Or an Ecobee.
Yeah, or something. He got...
Any connected thermostat.
Oh, my God. He got some Chinese thermostat. It was only $100. And then he got a bunch of Globus Chinese power Wi-Fi without a hub power plugs. He bought a sensor. He got like 5, all these different things. And now, of course, because they're all from no-name Chinese companies, he's thinking, well, this is dumb. I put interlopers into my network.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did he do that? He's a security reporter. That is like the first advice I give people when they're like, I don't want to bring my network to its knees. What do I do? I'm like, buy from established vendors.
That's
who
what
patch
we've
their
always said.
stuff.
Buy Ecobee or Google Nest, and then you at least, and they patch it, and then, but I mean,
need
still,
to talk
there's
to him.
still,
I need to ask him what he's thinking.
well, but wait, there's more. So he spent a lot of security now talking about how do you take these IoT devices, and I guess his position is doesn't matter. You still have to isolate whatever, even if you get it from Google and Ecobee, you still have to isolate it from your main network because you never know when there's a security problem.
Wrong. So here's the issue, or maybe it's not wrong, but that is, if you want to do anything like tie it to your phone, so if you do geofencing, for example, you need the things to be on the same Wi-Fi network, right? So you can say, oh, I'm on the Wi-Fi network. Now I need to turn this on, and what you're doing is you're going to send, nothing will run locally. Everything will then go over the cloud.
Well, so that's what I asked him.
On a separate network.
I asked him that, and he said, well, they do that anyway. They're always going out to the cloud anyway.
Is wrong. Well,
okay,
maybe
see,
his
I was going
Chinese
to ask you this. No, I was going to ask you this because when he said that, I said, oh, I guess that kind of makes sense that they don't talk to each other on the local area network. They both talk. So when your phone
it depends
talks
on the device.
well, let's give you an example, not Steve's example, but I've got a Hue hub which controls the lights. My phone talks to it. It's not going to it over the network 128.1.
It is.
It is.
It is. Unless, so your Hue is a great example because they actually make you set up a remote login. So you actually have to, everything is local unless you okay.
Yeah, because I can control it from control it from the internet. But you're saying if I'm not specifically telling it I want to control it from the internet, if I'm in the same, if I'm on the same subnet
house, it's local.
It's local. Yeah. Okay. See, that's what. See, now I wasn't sure. Steve said, "Oh no." But I guess it always. So
and things like the other issue is things like your doorbell camera. You want that on the same Wi-Fi network because it's faster, right?
Right.
And you want that to talk to like your Google Home Hub.
So my
you want
Hello
those on the same network.
When it's talking to the hub.
Yeah.
It's talking to 192.168.1.100, talking to 192.168.1.202, and they know each other's IP address and they talk to each other.
Google is implementing local control for some, but not all of their devices. When I'm talking about local, I'm actually talking about your phone talks to the doorbell. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it would add delay.
The Nest here does talk directly.
Can you find out?
They built that with.
Can you find out which devices talk over the LAN and which devices go out to the internet and come back down? It does seem like that round tripping would be undesirable, but it's his contention because what he then did. So he bought these Wi-Fi outlets from this Hong Kong company called Gosund. Ever hear of them?
I have heard of it. We actually talked about
For some reason I have.
Okay, and then he got a $39 GoV logging thermometer. And then he got a thermostat. That's, let's see, from Emerson Electronic, a $91 thermostat. So he's got these devices. And now, at first he said, well, you could put your Wi-Fi, you could have a guest mode and just put them on the guest network because then they don't have access. Now, I've talked to other people who said, no, if something's on the guest network, it doesn't mean it can't get across the network to other devices. But
it's not a wholly new air-gapped network. It is not, because Kevin and I actually set up guest networks and put all of our IoT devices on it, and it caused no end of trouble. But it also meant you could actually see the things.
So a malicious device could still get into your network. So the guest is not sufficient. So he then suggested, if for people who don't have a guest mode, he said the guest mode would be okay. But for those who don't, he says you get a cheap 2.4 gigahertz only Wi-Fi access point, and you set it up in effect as a isolated IoT network coming off of your main network. And so it's a 2-router solution, basically. He's always talked about a 3-router, but he said, well, no, you really only need 2 routers. Place it upstream of your primary network Wi-Fi router. Then plug your primary network secure router into that.
Or he can buy a Ubiquity router that lets you actually create truly virtual LANs.
He's recommended that, and I have that. and it's not expensive, $50 for the Edge Router X, which is a 4-port PoE router that you can set up VLANs. And they would, theoretically, be isolated, up to 4 different VLANs isolated. Actually, that's probably, if I were going to do this, what I'm going to do. It seems like a lot of work, and
Yeah.
It's going to muck up some things. So
that's my real concern, is that things won't work as well.
What was his rationale for going to all this rather than just buying a Nest? What was his argument? Just
because he's Steve
show
Gibson.
off? Or?
No, because he would never. He doesn't want to. He's not going to buy a Google solution. He's going to do it his own way. I didn't ask him. I didn't ask him. I don't know why.
Pods from China from somewhere that didn't sound like he was too familiar with them.
I think that he's assuming now. So by the way, this is how Google does it. It's called zero knowledge. Or zero trust, rather, which is you can't assume that anything on your network is safe. Used to be we'd assume anything within the network is ours, and so it's okay. And he comes from, and Google comes from, and I think the modern consensus is trust nothing.
Okay. That's fair.
Right? And I think that's sensible, especially in a high security network. And I guess if you're Steve Gibson, you probably say, well, my network should be high security, right? So I guess he's going from that zero trust point of view. But I am concerned that it won't work. I guess it is working.
The problem is the benefit of networking devices, right, is that you have a network and they can talk to each other over the network. So if you don't trust something on your network and you isolate it, then you're limiting the benefits you get from having it on the network.
Right. And I would guess he would say, well, then I'm not going to use it because I don't trust.
But he just spent so many hours and time buying these cheap.
Steve doesn't mind that. That's Steve. That's his thing, right? So he doesn't mind that part. In fact, I'm sure he got a lot out of it. He enjoyed it.
You're right.
Yeah.
Have we done an ad yet?
We could do an ad right now. But listen.
I'm just curious.
I would love it if you, Stacy, listen to Security Now. It was yesterday's show, episode 783. It's titled IoT Isolation Strategies.
Okay. And I would refer you to the local home SDK on Google. They have a page that talks about how it works and what goes locally.
So they do use some local stuff.
Yeah, I don't see the hello on their list. So I don't know if the hello actually talks to the hub yet locally.
Okay, interesting. Really interesting. So there's still a little bit of an unanswered question, which is how many devices talk over the LAN as opposed to through the internet to each other. So interesting question. Really interesting question. And you know what? Steve is our security guru, so I'm sure there's good reason for everything he's doing.
That's what I'm curious to hear.
Yeah.
I feel like as your security guru, I have some questions for him about his device choices. I mean, they may work for him, but the other thing to think about is we can't expect normal people to do things like that.
No one's going to do that. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not even going to do that.
What is he? I mean, is he showing off there? Like,
no. He's talking about how you would do it if you were in a zero trust network. How would you isolate these? But honestly, everything you put on your network is a threat. Even your router, as we well know, has.
Which is why you shouldn't. Which is why you may try for zero trust, but in an environment like that, I feel like you should have continual monitoring and updates and maybe automatic quarantining.
Right.
But.
I don't know. It's interesting. I'll just put it this way. I'm not going to get in an argument with Steve over this stuff.
No.
I might.
I will let you.
That'd be fun. I'd pay for that.
Please,
we may have a cage match a little later on.
I think an IoT cage match is a very good idea.
That would be a good show.
It would be. Steve, what were you thinking?
Steve's Steve's old school. He's an old school, do-it-yourself kind of guy.
Oh yeah,
and
he's the expert of experts.
Yeah,
he knows.
Yeah. Our show today brought to you by Melissa. Melissa is a company that helps you keep your customer data good. Did you know? I didn't know this. 30% of customer data goes bad every year. People move, but also email addresses go bad, phone numbers go bad, and also duplicates can be a real problem. That customer list you have is slowly rotting away. Melissa can make sure your data is accurate and current and fresh so you reach the right customers. Their tools have helped keep businesses' data fresh for over 35 years. They started with zip codes. Now they do it all. Addresses, emails, phone numbers, names even, in real time. Oh, I love it that they've got a Petaluma address in there. Incorrect data entered by customers. Happens all the time. Fat finger it. You've done it. I've done it. Simple human error. Customer service reps making a mistake. Duplicated records makes it easy for bad data to find its way into your system. But Melissa can help you verify your data. They can even do it right at the point of entry. So they've got a great API, which you can add to your point of sale or your customer service tools. And you've probably encountered it in the past when you're talking to a customer service rep and you give them the first few letters of your name or the first few numbers of your address, and they say, oh, yeah, I've got it right here, or they know your zip code ahead of time. That's Melissa going to work. Melissa's matching and deduplication tools can help you uncover, merge, and purge hard-to-find duplicate records. Their flexible deployment options mean you can set it up to suit your needs, your business size, your preferences, your budget. They have flexible on-prem solutions. They've got a web service. They've got secure FTP processing, so you can just upload a list and download the clean version. They have software as a service delivery. You can choose the best way to meet your specific business needs. And it's important for you to know, since you're going to be giving them your customer data, that Melissa continually undergoes independent security audits because they're totally committed to data security, privacy, and, of course, compliance. In many industries, they have, there's GDPR, there's the California privacy. They're completely compliant. They have the utmost dedication to your data security. They implement strong controls and safeguards so your data is safe. Over 10,000 businesses trust the address experts, and you can trust them too. Make Melissa your foundation for data-driven success. They can even add demographic information, public records like property and mortgage data, marital status, social media handles. They'll fill in the gaps. They add emails and phone numbers as you're entering the customer record. You can also identify current customers, which will allow you to find new prospects through Melissa's prospect database. There's a lot of great tools at Melissa. I want you to try it. By the way, Melissa's supporting communities and qualifying essential workers right now during COVID-19. Your organization may qualify for 6 months of free service by applying online. Go to melissa.com/twit. No one should put up with sour customer contact data. Try Melissa's APIs in their developer portal. It's easy to log on, sign up, and start playing in the API sandbox 24/7. Get started today with 1,000 records clean for free at melissa.com/twit. That's melissa.com/twit. Thank you, Melissa, for supporting This Week in Google, and thank you, This Week in Google listeners, for supporting us by going to that website, melissa.com/twit. Yeah, I think I'm just going to let my IoT devices live as they wish. Float freely. Be free on my LAN. Enjoy. It's okay.
Do you have a device on your LAN to track what they're doing?
So you said that. How do I do that?
So there are a bunch of outside devices. So, even provide some sort of indication, like things joining the network. But that device, the firewall I mentioned, that tracks where the devices on your network go. I think Bitdefender has one.
All right. That's a good idea. So you could put something on your network, another IoT device on your network that monitors the IoT devices and makes sure they're not phoning home inappropriately, or does it maybe monitor for patches, or what it must be doing?
A lot of them do DPI. A lot of them are doing deep packet inspection. So it's not just the IoT devices, and it's very clear when you put something like this on your network, you should tell everybody in your household what it's doing, because you will be able to see things like where your wife goes online, like what site she goes to, if you look at that data.
Right.
So
No, and I wouldn't do anything without her permission. I'm using something, I really like it, called NextDNS. I've talked about this for a while. It's kind of like a Raspberry Pi in the cloud. So all our traffic goes through that because I modified the DNS. Instead of using Comcast's DNS, I use NextDNS, and it allows you to do all sorts of security monitoring. I don't know exactly. I feel like it's protecting me against certain kinds of issues, and then it also blocks malware, which is great. So I think that's a really good thing, and I don't use all of the stuff. There's parental controls on it. This is a really nice service, inexpensive service. Plus, you get analytics, which is great. You can see how many queries are blocked, this kind of stuff. So this is just a software service, nextdns.io. But I bet you something on the network would probably even do a better job. This is, no normal person's going to even be aware of this. I don't know how we solve this.
Well, that's why a lot of these devices they're geared towards consumers. Comcast actually offer a fairly nice service that does some of this automatically as part of your Xfinity Home or Xfinity Wi-Fi. X-Fi, thank you.
I can see what's connected to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll do some basic network monitoring. I know Eero offers a little bit of that.
Yeah, Eero has that. Eero Plus is pretty good. We're not using Eero anymore because we're using this new thing that this company put in. So I don't know. It's a company called Arachnus.
Arachnus. Fancy high-end CDS
spiders,
server.
You have spiders.
Yeah, it sounds like spiders. But I actually talked to the company and I said, well, what about Ruckus? Can we use Ruckus? Because we use Ruckus here in the studio. He said, this is the same. It's the same as Ruckus. Uses the same chipset. It's just, he really liked it. Now I'm really nervous. He said, but the good thing is we can manage it remotely. So they can log in. They can log into our network.
But and you trust this stranger?
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Oh.
So, but so part of the reason I did this is because Lisa was really suffering, and she's in the work at home thing. I get to come to work, but she has to work at home, and so we did this so that she could call them if there's a problem, instead of having to call me. All right, I made a huge mistake.
Oh, we're terrible people. We're like, Leo's like, uh-oh. We're all
now,
like,
do you know why I'm despairing? Do you now know why I'm despairing? Yeah.
Steve is going to come over and replace everything he has with a steam-powered thing. Yeah.
I don't know. I give up. I just give up. Tweet from Zach James, and I would love to know what you guys think of this. Attention. In the last 24 hours, YouTube publicly but quietly admitted to using your Google activity to recommend videos. They did this after I exposed this fact via tweets yesterday. This section was not in the privacy statement until today. Recommendations using your Google activity. So
they've been doing that for years.
But they apparently, he says it wasn't
together. Fine, they didn't put it here, which is stupid. But,
right.
But this is not some secret. They've been doing it for years. That's been the whole antitrust fight about the fact that they pulled all together under one ID.
Right.
We've known this for ages.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
You can go to myactivity.google.com, and you've always been able to do that and see what they know about you.
We've dropped ourselves to a tweet scoop?
Yes. Well,
come on.
I'm just giving you a chance to shoot it down. This was nothing.
It's shot. Is
there anything bad about them?
The dog is going to get it now.
I don't think there's anything bad about them using everything they know about me to recommend YouTube videos. You don't have to do it.
Right.
I've said it before. I like what the algorithm does for me in YouTube because I watch YouTube more so than watching regular television shows. And the algorithm just gets me. Even if I'm changing my mind on certain things that I normally seek out during the week, it picks that up and says, well, maybe you like this too. And it works.
All right. So sorry I even mentioned it.
I don't spend enough time.
Do you watch YouTube? Do you let your kid watch YouTube?
Yeah. We watch a lot of SNL, and she has all her lo-fi ASMR-y things,
right?
That she plays while she studies.
And you can turn that off. You can manage that in your privacy settings. I mean, obviously, Google knows, like everybody knows, about the tyranny of the default, and defaults are what 99% of the time are chosen because nobody's changing anything.
You know, I do like the fact that, say I'm looking for how to repair a dishwasher or something like that. I go and look that up on YouTube here at my desk.
You pick up the yellow pages, Ant, and you call the person. Okay, I just did a TLDR for you there.
The what?
You go to the yellow pages.
What is that?
And you call them.
The yellow pages?
Is that thing I put up under my chair so the chair levels off?
That's right. That's right.
Save
See,
those. You have some
another
yellow
use.
pages? Wow. They don't still I haven't seen yellow pages on my doorstep in a long
Actually,
time.
I haven't. I asked students, do you know what a yellow pages is? They all know, yeah. They all say, oh, yeah.
They know the yellow pages.
Yeah,
I've seen
anyway,
yellow
I'm
pages
sorry,
recently.
Ann. I couldn't give
It's
up for a
getting
cheap
thinner.
joke.
There is yellowpages.com. You could always go to yellowpages.com. And do a
My
search
mother-in-law actually keeps yellow pages in her car at all times for
throwing at people.
That's a mother-in-law
I think it's
thing
'cause if-
to do.
Yeah, I think it's because if like her smartphone doesn't. I don't really understand it, but sure.
Ant, I'm sorry. I interrupted for a cheap joke. Keep going.
No, it's all right. But I was saying that if I'm looking to repair a dishwasher or something like that, I'll look it up here at my desk, trying to find different steps or whatever on YouTube. And I'll go downstairs later on in the day to end my day, if you will, and watch TV. And I may see one or two of those related videos pop up as a recommendation, but I won't see it every single day after that. You know, it's not like how Amazon will keep putting those cookies out there because it saw you shopping for something, and it just shows up every single day until you finally just yell at it enough or delete your cookies. I think YouTube gets it right from an algorithm.
Google News does not, or Google Assistant does not, because like I will search for things and I will get just the stupidest stuff for weeks afterwards. Weeks. It kills me.
And that could be annoying.
Oh, it's totally annoying. I'm like, I am not interested in L brackets. Why do I have to tell Google that I'm not interested in L brackets?
For the longest time, I was
the
getting
hell?
barbed wire advertisements. I don't know what it was I searched for.
Well, these aren't advertisements. These are like content.
Content
Right.
about L brackets?
I was also surprised that there were multiples, like news articles that were recent. So, yeah.
For
Casey,
those...
did you get your Android?
I did. I got my updates.
Yay.
They're nice.
Did you see the new
That's nice.
emojis?
Pretty.
Oh, I didn't see the new
You can now
emojis.
do this. I don't know what it means, but you can do it. To pinch the fingers and thumbs. Hey,
Is it the chef kiss?
I don't know what it is, but that's there. Yeah.
No. That's the Italian thing. It's the hey, he.
Isn't that something from Don Fanucci in Godfather 2?
I think it's so generic that you can use it. It's like the eggplant emoji. Use it for whatever you want.
Right.
No, the eggplant emoji is not at all generic.
No. It's a
Now-
no-no.
Very specific.
A word from the yellow pages. Can you put my sound up?
Yes.
Yellow Pages is a pet. Whether you already have an animal or looking for one, sit. And you'll find pet shops, kennels, even veterinary services
creepy.
close to where you live. So before you go walkies, give Yellow Pages a thumb.
I had no idea Yellow Pages had a TikTok channel.
That's a British one. And it's funny because now we have to explain walkies to a whole group of people who don't remember
whole TV
walkies.
show, folks.
Here's another one.
So
No, that's not it. That's oh yeah, here it is.
Save your legs. Use the easy way to find out who's got what at the best price.
This is British also. That's not the Yellow Pages jingle.
no,
That's a fake. This
that's
is
foreigners.
Foreigner Yellow
That's
Pages.
a cover band.
That is the strangest thing. It's a Yellow Pages cover band. I want the let your fingers do the walking with the Yellow Pages, right?
Right.
I've seen
I
Yellow
couldn't have
Pages
done that out of my head.
in the real world. A couple of years ago in North Carolina, they were dropping them off in our neighborhood. And like I said, they weren't as big as I remember them. So I guess that means people aren't buying as much space.
You know where it's also going the way of the encyclopedia. You don't see those anymore. Let's see.
Right.
So when I started Advance's local online sites.
Let's see this. This is another 30-second for the Yellow Pages.
Help! The crazy pool hose broke! Help!
Is that Gilligan?
The Bell Yellow Pages talks when your fingers do the walking.
Pool doctor, we make emergency calls.
Calling can save you time and energy.
Mrs. Murphy?
Pool doctor?
You recognize my voice.
Get the Yellow Pages talking.
We make emergency calls.
Let your fingers do the walking.
That was the right jingle. The worst ad, though.
It was. So when I started the advanced local sites, the newspaper sites, we thought that Yellow Pages was the future. Yellow Pages was going to be everything. We spent a fortune developing our own Yellow Pages system because we were going to replace the Yellow Pages. Don't forget, a lot of ad money locally went into Yellow Pages. For years, advertisers still thought, well, I can't not be there. And it was going to take over. It was going to be the future of the internet. And did my boss regret that for a long time.
So AT&T, which developed the Yellow Pages, never trademarked the name Yellow Pages or the fingers. Never applied for a trademark, which is why there are now so many Yellow Pages. Or, well, not anymore.
Wow.
But there are online Yellow Pages. You can use that. They never protected it. Wow, that was a rat hole. I apologize.
Yeah, it was your rat hole too. You
started it, dude. You started it.
Well, how did I start it? What did I start?
You made a joke about the Yellow Pages.
You made the joke.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Sorry.
Don't blame me.
See,
for
I'm
that.
so old. I forgot 3 minutes ago.
There was another YouTube story in there if you wanted to look at that, sir.
Oh, you like that one? Game creator has his YouTube video of his game. This is from Mike Masnick's Tech Dirt, Timothy Geigner writing. Demonetized over the soundtrack when he even created the soundtrack himself. Dan Salvato, who created the Doki Doki Literature Club, is being... Yeah, I know. Okay, not the best name. Is being demonetized for his own music on YouTube because the platform claims the soundtrack included in his videos, which he composed, is someone else's content. He tweeted about this. Apparently his videos this has been going on, been demonetized for several months. Don't know who it is that he's... See, this is why I would hope he didn't sign up for Content ID. Maybe he did.
It just makes me wonder who was the other party in this that it's supposedly...
Well, I'm guessing he signed up for Content ID for his music.
So you think it was automatic?
Yeah, of course it was.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm not, I'm not sure I share his...
I mean, but this is now a story, and one would think that someone could get on a phone and speak to an actual person instead of an algorithm and get this squared away, right? Come on, I need some optimism from you.
Okay, here's the optimistic last paragraph. Once Salvato complained on Twitter, YouTube got in touch to investigate.
Yeah.
And fixed it. So I guess the moral of the story is tweet about it.
It made me laugh when I read this. I have a couple of videos on my small little channel, and I get the warning every now and then because there's some songs that I have rights to from the artist that says, you know what, hey, I provide written consent to use my songs in his videos. And I get that notification every time I put those songs out there and dispute it, and it gets fixed. But the problem is it's algorithmic, and it comes from not the artist. It comes from some other distribution or whatever. But it's never the artist's name in the notification. It's always some distribution company. And I have to respond back and appeal it. And they say, okay, you're good.
I bet you our 17-year-old knows Doki Doki Literature Club because it's kind of an anime-style horror game written by Dan Salvato. So, let's see.
So I'm finding this thing interesting.
Oh, good. Thank you, because I'm not. Go ahead.
I know you were tapped out. You were having an existential crisis. Line 123 and 24.
Oh, you jumping way down. I was up in the 70s.
Oh, okay, fine.
No. 123. There's no order in this. There's no order in this madness.
I know that.
Stanford Brown.
I've been doing this show for 20 years. I should know that by now.
Stanford Brown.
Center. It's Stanford University.
Oh, it's Stanford University. They have a cable TV news analyzer.
They have a cable news analyzer, which is fascinating. So if you go to the next link, you can play with it.
Okay.
And see the possibilities of what it can do.
So this is, actually, this is one of the things that has always powered it. It goes back to the Daily Show, and with Jon Stewart, and then all the modern, commentary shows. There have always been clipping services and search tools. For instance, when you're watching John Oliver's Last Week Tonight, he does that middle piece, and now this, where they mock newscasters or something. And it's for the most part, I think it's based on these search tools where you could say, well, give me every time Leo said the Dookie Dookie Literature Club. And then you can string them all together, and it's a fun little montage. So these tools have been around and widely used by TV for a long time. But this is a little different. This lets you search for, query terms in cable news. I imagine it's using the same back end because everything, I guess, is transcribed and stored somewhere. But you can do a comparison. For instance, this is the canned one that it comes with, where you compare Joe Biden to Donald Trump over the last 8 months, and you can see the frequency. Is this only on cable TV news? The red bar.
Yeah, if you go to the Getting Started link on the top line there, you can see some examples.
Okay. Yeah. Computing screen time. Oh, this is more than just mentions.
Yeah.
This is screen time.
This is FaceTime.
So you're seeing their faces or people. Oh, yeah, this is Kamala Harris's face. So this is using face recognition. That's interesting. Compare Kamala to Elizabeth Warren, for instance. Filtering by face tags. A lot more male faces on cable news than there are female faces. About 50% more. That's interesting. Not a surprise. Male presenters also outnumbering female presenters. Yeah, this is like that Google Book tool.
Yeah, exactly. So here's Kamala Harris on the 3 cable networks, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
much more on MSNBC, obviously.
Yeah, CNN, which is orange. I can't tell. It's hard to read.
Yeah, actually, I think if you change the date, it'll make it easier to read.
Okay, make it more recent. Yeah, it goes back to 2010. Let's go. Let's do something a little more recent. Invalidate. Come on, be patient. I'm getting there.
He's an old man,
I can't type that fast. So there you go. This is in the last 9 months. Orange is just Kamala. Oh, this is all Kamala Harris. I see. So orange is MSNBC, but this is, you would have expected
Fox was more than CNN.
Oh, CNN's very low. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea would be you detect bias or favoritism, perhaps.
Spin.
Yeah. Here's I know. Here's Hillary Clinton. CNN, Fox, and MS.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton and email.
and not mentioned at all on anything but MSNBC for the last. Did I do something wrong?
Yeah, I think you did. I don't know what you did.
Oh, it's only Fox.
It changed the date again.
It's only Fox. Look at that. That's all Fox. MSNBC
Fox.
until March 2020. CNN, not at all. Okay. Video clip. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
This is the kind of thing you teach your students, right? For data-driven journalism.
Whatever I put in here isn't showing up in the news, believe it or not. Is this only dealing with the political side of things?
I don't know. What are you putting in?
I put in
Doki Literature Club? No.
Let's see. I'll just put in Brett Favre and it doesn't come up with anything. I put in Twitter and it didn't come up with anything.
That's weird. Well, did it say name Twitter? Because I think name is for the database of just proper named entities.
Yeah, I put in Twitter with capital T for name.
No, put in human names.
Okay. Jack.
And it's cable news. It's not sports.
Try Mark
It's not
Zuckerberg.
ESPN.
He's a little more.
That's
He's
a good
definitely
idea.
been in the news.
Yeah, that'll work too. Let's try that.
I'm bored.
Okay.
Just saying.
I just wanted to see if this thing would work. It's
We've got an
supposedly going to
in-depth
help seek
Benedict
trends,
Evans
but if
column
it's not
about.
pulling.
It's not working. Oh, you broke
Let's
it.
see,
And you
Zuckerberg.
broke it.
Okay, well, it actually suggested Zuckerberg, so that's not a bad thing. There we go.
Do you ever, any of you ever get seeds in the mail? Unsolicited seeds from China?
No, I have not.
That was kind of a thing, right?
It was at one time.
Yeah. Never figured out what it was, but apparently it was Chinese companies mailing seeds to random Americans. The thought maybe it had to do with this thing on Amazon where they would send you seeds and then you'd be a verified buyer.
Yeah.
And then they could put a review in. Amazon has now banned foreign sales of plants. Not because they're phony reviews, but because it's a threat to U.S. agriculture. The U.S. and other countries, according to Engadget, have been dealing with a wave of strange, unexpected seed shipments all summer. The Wall Street Journal has learned that Amazon's banned all sales of foreign plants and seeds in the U.S., whether they're imports or sales inside the country by non-U.S. residents, to protect our customers and enhance the customer experience. Amazon did not explain why. Tens of thousands of Americans received mysterious seed shipments in the past few months. Most have been postmarked as coming from China, often falsely labeled as another product. At least some of them were potentially harmful to U.S. agriculture, including noxious weeds, plant diseases, and even pests. But it's not considered by the U.S. to be a new kind of attack, a seed attack. It's actually, the main theory is it's a brushing. That's what they call it, a brushing scam where vendors pay people to order cheap products and write bogus reviews to spur sales. Amazon maintains seed deliveries from its site were real orders delayed due to COVID-19, but I think it's brushing. So now we've learned a new word, brushers or brushing, which is phony reviews on Amazon. And maybe that's why these seeds were going out. Vocabulary time. What's the German for brushing?
I have no idea.
No, there's no word. Amazon is filled with fake reviews. It's according to CNBC, and it's getting harder to spot them. Katie Skulov writing on CNBC about Amazon's fake reviews problem. I think we've known about this for some time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we're not the normals.
Right.
Speak for yourself, Mr. Ant.
I think normal people are kind of aware of it. I mean, like when you go to the Wirecutter, for example, a lot of them talk about like how they determine the difference between the fake reviews, or they used fake spot fake. So
yeah, there's a service that'll do it. In July, UCLA and USC released a study that found more than 20 fake review-related Facebook groups. So they solicit on Facebook. Bad actors solicit paid positive reviews to bots and click farms that upvote negative reviews to take out the competition. Average in these 20 fake review groups of 16,000 members each, in more than 560 posts each day, sellers offered a refund or payment for a positive review, usually about $6. So that's why it's harder to spot them. It's one thing when the company itself writes them, they're always too glowing, or the negative review that's always too negative because it's a competitor. But these are normal people getting paid $6 and a free product to review something. I think this is an issue because I tell you, Amazon reviews are a very useful tool.
Yeah.
Amazon told CNBC it uses powerful machine learning tools and skilled investigators to analyze over 10 million new reviews every week. 10 million.
Yeah.
Aiming to stop abusive reviews before they're ever published. The company recently removed 20,000 reviews after an investigation found that the top Amazon reviewers in the UK were engaging in fraud. So maybe you shouldn't be trusting those Amazon reviews. They certainly have gotten less trustworthy. I think we'd agree on that.
Yep.
They 100% have, which is such a shame because I can't trust Amazon's
Amazon Choice is stupid.
Choice.
That's just random. It's some, maybe Amazon makes it, or that's the Benedict Evans piece actually. Amazon's profits, AWS, and advertising. What is Amazon's real business? I love this graph. So this is Amazon's...
anything that makes them money.
Yeah, that's their real business. So this is Amazon's revenue versus profit. And the revenue
this is
a
Benedict
hockey
Evans
stick
column, so it's going to go into detail. But It's really good.
And this is in billions. So from 1995 to 2019, from zero all the way up to almost $300 billion in revenue. But look how flat profit is. It's almost always zero, just a little bit above zero. Wouldn't you want to make more profit?
No, because you want to invest in the future. Keep going. There's lots of charts.
The long game at Amazon, right?
Yeah. Well, or do you think they're hiding profits?
I was going to say, let's talk about taxes.
Yeah.
And let's...
Yeah, you don't pay taxes on revenue. You pay taxes on profit, right? So...
it depends on where you are. In Washington State, you pay a business tax on revenue, which is crazy. Okay.
Did you know that when you decided to move there?
I didn't, but it's okay because I have a high margin business. But man, I'm glad I don't have a low margin business because that would kill me.
The closer your revenue is, your profit is to your revenue, the more equitable that tax is. But if you're like Amazon with a low profit and a high revenue, maybe that's why Washington State does that. Because they don't have a state income tax.
We do not.
The money's got to come from somewhere. If you don't have an income tax, you're taxing somewhere. So that's smart of them, right? They have some large companies, perhaps, in the state that very rarely declare profit, but often have a $300 billion revenue, as an example.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I wonder when that came into being and how. Although then you would think, well, no, you'd still want to optimize revenue. I don't know. I'm not a tax lawyer.
Yeah, this is a good article, but I don't think. I don't know if I could boil this down into less than a half hour.
No, but if you keep going. So what he's saying is that in one analysis here, AWS is like it looks like it's the whole profit of Amazon.
Their web services. And
it's not. And the way it works out, the way he tries to cut it up, e-commerce is now only half of Amazon revenue, which is fascinating.
Right.
But e-commerce from the selling others stuff.
Yeah.
Is about as much as selling Amazon stuff, which is a big deal. It's a big major part of the business.
That was a big story, that half of Amazon's revenue comes from third-party sellers. That's a big part of it. And
Amazon,
business.
under accounting rules, does not report the gross sales. It only reports its own sales and its fee for outside sales.
So we don't know what the outside sales gross revenue
total
is.
Gross sales. It would be pretty friggin' impressive.
Oh, interesting. That's smart. You don't want to get any attention for the total amount of selling you're doing.
And so then the advertising piece is growing quietly and rapidly.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because it really is taking away from Google and Facebook.
Amazon's ad business probably covers operating income and could be plausibly close to what everybody said is their big cash cow, Amazon Web Services. Amazon is not one. So he says, close to 6 years ago, I wrote a pretty popular essay about Amazon's business at the time. Quote, why Amazon has no profits, that made 2 points. First, Amazon is not one business. It's many different businesses at all different stages of maturity and profitability.
Yeah.
The more established, obviously, the more profitable. Others are new in a loss, early loss startup phase. But because Amazon doesn't break it out, you can't see from the outside because it all gets aggregated into one pool and then reinvested. Amazon is not a loss-making business that will eventually have to raise prices to make money. Rather, this is important, It's many businesses leveraging a common platform and a common balance sheet. So that's actually a good insight. The second is Amazon is run not for net income, not for profit, but for cash.
He's always said that.
Bezos has always said he runs it for trailing 12 months absolute free cash flow. Let's not forget, he's a hedge fund quant. That's where he came from. And he's always seen this not as a traditional business, but as almost a derivative. It's a sophisticated financial instrument.
That's really an interesting way to say it.
Yeah, I think but that's how he thinks, and that's his genius, isn't it? It's had positive cash flow since 2002, 18 years. So when you are looking at charts based on operating income, not cash flow, you're not seeing what's really going on. And now why does he, so this is the question, why does he run it that way? Why is he running it for cash flow? Why is he trying to, so that he can invest in new businesses? That cash flow, he creates established businesses, which then generate cash that he pushes forward into the new businesses. So it's a giant growth enterprise. You could almost call it a pyramid scheme, but but
it's his own pyramid.
But it's his own pyramid. So he's not tricking anybody.
Is that why the warehouse workers are paid so less? Well,
I don't know about that. I don't know if there's any excuse for that. When you're running that much money, I don't know if there's any excuse for that. Yeah.
Well, and then they also, if you think about it from that perspective, all of the data and insights that they derive, from running all these businesses, they get to actually use those to plow into businesses that they know will generate more cash. So it's a virtuous cycle. The other thing that's interesting there, and I don't know if this is antitrust, but it's kind of, someone brought this up and I've been thinking about it a lot. In the IoT space, for example, most connected devices are built on Amazon's cloud or maybe Google's cloud, and they pay into Amazon, right? Amazon has tons of devices that are kind of subsidized by their cloud business in the sense that they don't have the ongoing cloud costs, or they do, but
they're charged, internal charges are made, but you're right.
Right. So that becomes really interesting when you think about companies that are starting out, and I've seen companies fail, and it's not just because they couldn't pay their cloud bills, but it's a really interesting question about the advantage that having your own cloud gives to Amazon and Google's devices, for example, that other products don't necessarily have. So I don't know. I was thinking about
Stacey,
that.
to make your point, if we go to my middle number, I'm going to sacrifice a number at the altar of Stacey. You have estimates of tech company cloud spending.
Oh,
there's a chart.
There you go.
So Netflix estimated 500. What is this? 500 million a year.
They're the biggest. Yeah.
Right. Snapchat at 300, which is amazing. TikTok.
I thought Snapchat was on Google. Snapchat for the longest time was.
This is not Amazon. This is cloud.
Oh, okay. I was like, they're a GCP customer. Okay, sorry. Go on. Netflix is AWS.
Palantir, right under fourth here. Snowflake. What the hell?
That's the new database company.
Ohm wrote about that this morning, and we just learned that Warren Buffett put $250 million into it, which is the first time, I think, ever that the, what do they call him, the Oracle of Omaha has ever put money into a startup. He usually invests in established businesses.
No, he wants old ice cream places. Right.
Snowflake? Snowflake is a big cloud company, but it's about data insights, right, Stacey?
It's data warehousing. And I think part of its cachet is because it's Bob Buglia.
Right.
And
Ohm was raving about him.
Yeah. He's done a lot of really, he was at Microsoft. He was something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ohm's
Juniper.
Ohm's piece is a Buffett of Snowflake.
It's a big deal.
I thought
storage isn't
Interesting.
Storage isn't sexy, but those companies can do super well because everything.
Exactly.
We're only generating more data.
They do it on AWS. They don't even own it. Snowflake, right?
Yes.
What are they adding? What value do they add?
Software and smarts on top of it, so you get the right data at the right time.
It's managed. So we're used to that. This is what Ohm writes. We're used to that when you buy Dropbox or OneDrive or iCloud. We're used to that. It's managed cloud services. But usually when companies buy cloud storage, they're not buying the management as well. Snowflake is basically giving the same kind of managed cloud services we're used to as consumers for big companies. And part of the problem, and one of the reasons I'm sure that you're seeing a quarter of a billion investment from Berkshire Hathaway and $250 million from Salesforce Ventures, is because cloud is really taking off, and there are the sweet spot at this point is people who are saying, I can't trust the cloud. I don't want to put my data in the cloud. I don't feel like it's safe in the cloud. I prefer on-prem storage. So, and they're competing with Amazon Redshift and Google's BigQuery and Azure SQL on Microsoft. But according to Ohm, it's Frank Slootman, the CEO, who was from ServiceNow, I think was the company you were trying to remember.
Mm-hmm.
But also that this is a hot category, right?
Yeah, their revenue increased 2.5 times.
They're still losing money. They're not making money.
You can't make money and go public.
Right. So Ohm says, and I think this is really kind of, I would agree with him on this. We're experiencing an historic shift away from a traditional industrial economy to one with a digital heartbeat. And so you're seeing somebody like Berkshire who says, I want to buy Dairy Queen, McDonald's, and See's Candy, saying, you know what? All of the growth is shifting in another direction.
He's late on that.
He just get rid of.
He is. He's a little late.
I was like,
really? That's what he does. He just got rid of a bunch of banking, right?
Yeah, he did. He's a little late on it, but he's not too late, I don't think. So that's especially because of COVID, right? Especially because of COVID. I think if anything, COVID has made the big tech companies more powerful and more profitable. That's why Apple hit $2 trillion. That's why Jeff Bezos became the richest man in the history of mankind. It's because of COVID. Yeah. So I think, Snowflake. So let's go back to this. So that's why Snowflake is way up there in the top 6. Right. Then Pinterest.
Pinterest, who would think that's still so big?
Yeah. So here's the
I don't know whether their list is all-inclusive or not. But
here's the Google Cloud portion of Snapchat. So really, if you add the Snapchat plus the Google Cloud part of Snapchat, your stack gets up there to the Netflix size.
Wow,
Lyft, Slack. By the way,
Slack larger.
Slack's stock is tumbling because Slack, of all of the big messaging platforms like Zoom and Microsoft Teams, has not grown during COVID. They're relatively flat.
I'm using it constantly.
Yeah, but that's the point, is that maybe the competitors are starting to outpace them. Datadog, Sumo Logic.
Datadog does log. It's like Splunk.
Splunk
analyzes log files.
Right.
So what's interesting and what you'll see is there's 2 factors that are happening that are important to note with your biggest spenders: video and imagery.
Yep.
Right. And then the other thing is high processing analytics and data storage.
Right.
So with Palantir and Snowflake, what you're seeing is, having to pay for getting the data someplace and then the cost of analytics on it, which are more expensive.
The other thing that's interesting in this is number of multi-cloud companies. Not all of them by any means. And I would have thought AWS would be totally dominant, but Google Cloud has a number of big clients here. Snapchat, TikTok, Unity, Datadog.
Palantir doesn't have a parenthesis next to it.
It's unknown. We don't know.
Okay,
we don't know where Palantir lives.
But Vladimir knows.
Who knows? No one knows, but they're spending like crazy.
Palantir runs on AWS.
Well, this doesn't say that, interestingly.
I don't know.
Amazon, there was a big kerfuffle 2 years ago where their employers were like, we can no longer host Palantir.
But interesting.
I don't think Amazon gave a hoot.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't care about those things.
Yeah.
No.
Microsoft
Amazon
has once again been affirmed as the victor in the JEDI contract, by the way. And Jeff Bezos is hopping mad. He says this is a corrupt process.
He's right. He's right.
Well, I don't. Is it? I mean, I don't know.
You just can't tell. That's the problem. There's no faith left.
I'm not the expert in this.
That's what corruption does. It just utterly destroys your faith in any system.
But Amazon's contention is, well, we're clearly, obviously, technically superior. The Pentagon should have chosen us. Is that true?
No. Amazon. Well, okay. Amazon would like you to think that, and like Gartner's Magic Quadrant puts it up there, but Microsoft's cloud is not shabby. It is a very, like, if they chose Google, I'd be like, okay, that was a weird deal.
Right.
But choosing Microsoft is not
right. Yeah, so I'm not sure I buy that part, but this is the thing. It's an unknown process. The Pentagon admitted they screwed up calculating the cost, and they said, but we're still going to give it to Microsoft. Amazon came back with a lower price, but they said, but we're still going to give it to Microsoft. So maybe that kind of confirms it. This is the statement from Amazon. Why we will continue to protest this politically corrupted contract award. When the DoD announced its plans for corrective action in March, we objected because it was clear it was nothing more than a do-over for Microsoft to fix its non-compliant proposal. The DoD's reevaluation was nothing more than an attempt to validate a flawed, biased, and politically corrupted decision. It's important to point out the DoD cited price as a major factor in the previous decision. This time we offered, this is Amazon speaking, offered a lower cost by several tens of millions of dollars. The DoD's decision to intentionally ignore the clear cost benefits offered by AWS reinforces the fact that this corrective action was never meant to be fair.
That's Trump's favorite word.
Fair?
Unfair.
Sad.
Very unfair.
Sad. Anyway, I guess there's still a court battle, but from the point of view of the Department of Defense, it's done and over, and that's it. But yeah, Jeff's really saying this is a corrupt process. He's not pulling punches anymore. Unlike a lot of big CEOs who are still kind of careful.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think it doesn't matter. I mean, I feel like Trump could set like a small animal on fire on national television, and people who like him will still like him, and the rest of us will be like, "Oh my God, did you see that?"
That's very clear.
Yeah, they'll cheer for him.
He said it at the beginning of his campaign. He said, "I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and it wouldn't lose any votes." Now he's killed who knows how many people with COVID-19.
So here's a question for you.
Didn't matter.
Are you pissed that Bob Woodward held what he knows for the book?
Isn't that interesting? So that's another insight that some have drawn, is that plenty of people knew what was going on in the White House, but waited till it was close to the election so they could make big bucks with a book contract. And that's pretty obvious, right? The books are coming fast
Woodward
and
has it on
furious.
tape, and he's had it for 6 months.
Yep, sat on it.
And could have made a difference early on.
Although, so here's what the president said to Woodward. By the way, did you find it interesting how instead of Woodward asking a question and sitting back, he was really interacting, talking back and talking over the president and stuff. What did you think, Jeff, of that conversation? That seemed a little odd to me. That wasn't like a reporter saying,
I think that's how you deal with Trump. That's how you deal with Trump, is you push him. And, and that's how you get him to say things like, I don't care about black people. Why would I care about black people? Is basically what Trump said. I don't have any empathy.
Maybe that's the case because Jonathan
saying, are you
Swan,
really saying this?
Yeah, maybe that's the case because Jonathan Swan did exactly the same thing in his Axios interview with the president. He kind of prodded him, and I guess the idea is if you continue to prod, eventually he's going to throw up his hands and say, "Well, let me tell you So what the president said to Woodward is, "Oh, I knew in February was going to be bad, but I didn't want to panic the nation. Now, that's something a lot of presidents would say. I'm sure when they discovered aliens in Area 51, that's what Herbert Hoover said, is I don't want to tell the nation that, the aliens are among us. Whoever it was, I don't know. It was probably Eisenhower. Eisenhower, Ike, he didn't want to get people upset, riled up. So he said, I'm not going to tell them about the aliens. Let's just keep this between us. I think it's probably the case that you could tell people, look, this virus is going to be bad and we need to really prepare for it. Wouldn't panic people the same way aliens might. But is that a reasonable? I mean, that's certainly presidents have said that before. Presidents don't tell us the truth all the time, right? They to prevent panic.
So Margaret Sullivan at the Washington Post is writing about it and talked to Woodward.
What did he say? What did he tell him?
I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah, because it is a shame that he didn't release this earlier. But it's also, I guess, if you wanted to make an impact and you wanted to make a lot of money on a book, holding it till closer to the election isn't a fully cynical. Is it cynical? Maybe that's a little cynical.
This is cynical.
It's not. Here's the calculus. Would it have changed anything if he released?
That's the question. Yeah, I think that at least media couldn't have had the narrative that, well, they say this, but Trump says that. Oh, the denialism would have been at least poked through. He would have found something else to say, but
it does seem bad if you're a journalist, and Woodward is a journalist. Does he still work for the Post, or is he just on his own?
Yeah, kind of.
So he's a journalist. So if you're a journalist and you have a big scoop, saving it for the book, I can understand why Mary Trump might have done that. I can even understand why Michael Cohen might have done that. They're not journalists.
But Woodward's a journalist.
Right.
He told Trump, I told him it was for the book, but did not sign any agreement promising any timing. He says, I don't do that. Right. Woodward said the aim was to provide a fuller context that could occur in a news story, which is a real slap at the Washington Post. I knew I could tell the second draft of history. Oh, gag me. And, I hate that phrase that we write the first draft of history. That means we ignore history. That means only things that are new are news to us. And we don't care about history, and that's ridiculous. Anyway, and I knew I could tell it before the election. Let's see here.
That's really interesting. What do you think, Stacey? Are journalists compelled to write the story the minute they learn something?
Tell the world what they know when they know it.
Oh, you're muted.
She doesn't want to tell the world, you see, because
no, my dog started growling. I would say
he doesn't like Bob Woodward either, I think.
There we go. I would say normally we are. I do think there are cases where you might not share information because for a short time, for national security or for weird patriotic reasons. Right. I'm old fashioned that way.
No,
but I think for the most part, like I would not have sat on those tapes. Maybe his publisher told him to. I don't really understand. It's possible like the first couple of weeks he didn't know how bad it was going to be. So like I don't.
Yeah, this was.
Yes, that's part of it.
This conversation was when in April.
No, well, the original one was like in.
No,
February.
Trump was referring to February. But I think the conversation was later. He said, Trump said, I knew in February it was going to be bad. But I think
and part of it might just be a cynical reaction
February.
To like.
It was February. Okay.
Oh,
what's more, he said that there were, sorry, Stacey, point of order, point of information. There were at least two problems with what he heard from Trump in February that kept him from putting in the newspaper at the time. First, he didn't know what the source was of Trump's information. It wasn't until months later in May, which is still a long time ago from now, that Woodward learned it came from a high-level intelligence briefing in January that was also described in Wednesday's reporting in the book. In February, what Trump told Woodward seemed hard to make sense of, the author told me, says Margaret Sullivan. Back then, Woodward said there was no panic over the virus, even toward the final days of the month. I agree. Anthony Fauci was publicly assuring Americans there was no need to change their habits. Secondly, Woodward said, the biggest problem I had, quote, which is always a problem with Trump, is I don't know if it is true.
That I believe.
So fun, he wanted more reporting, but still, it was February.
In May, I feel like, so in February, like having I've only dealt with an unreliable source in very few instances, and it's horrible. It's horrible. And so, like, Trump would be like a nightmare to interview and try to work with from that perspective. So more reporting, okay, and not understanding where Trump got that from. But as soon as he got that, I do kind of feel like I would have released
Woodward
it.
said he believes his highest purpose isn't to write the daily stories. That's a really snotty thing for a journalist to say.
Yeah,
but to give his
is.
readers the big picture, one that may have a greater effect, especially with a consequential election looming.
Oh, that's just his ego talking.
Exactly.
I could influence and
So there were a couple of conversations. February 7th, Trump said the coronavirus is more deadly, you're even than your strenuous flu. On February 26th, he told the public it's going to go away. So at that point in February, he maybe he knew, maybe he didn't know, maybe he was trying to impress Woodward. Oh, it's bad. Because, that's part of it is, like you said, he's an unreliable, he says things for a variety of reasons, sometimes just to, as any human does, to, sound more authoritative. It was in March that he told, it's when in March 19th, that he told Woodward on tape, I always wanted to play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. So in February, he says really serious. In March, he says, a month later, he says, but I'm playing it down. So I don't know. I mean, these are ongoing conversations, it sounds like. I'm also amazed. I am so amazed that the president will talk to people who are clearly trying to write negative story. Ego, I guess.
Ego meets ego in this story.
Yeah.
He can't help himself. Good Lord.
All of this is going to be I hope, the old phrase, history will judge them. I hope that I live long enough to just hear a clear, concise, accurate story of what the hell happened in 2020. Because I think there's much we don't know. But I do think, I kind of agree with you. It is somebody like Woodward's responsibility, if he knows something that early, to say. But it could also be respect of the office. If,
What?
Well, yeah. If LBJ had told you, listen, Jeff, there are aliens in Area 51, but I don't want to create a public scare. You might not send that tape to Twitter.
No, as a journalist, you have a higher responsibility to the public.
I think at the point when the aliens had clearly come down and started murdering small children.
Yeah,
or
that's when you would say, yeah, this is going to be worse.
You might sit with that for a minute, like, okay, let's see how this plays out. But once, 100,000 people were dead, I think you'd be like,
April 19th, it was still early, right? it wasn't that early. That was a month into the lockdown. No, you're right.
Yeah,
but still, we might have stayed in a lockdown. I mean, lives could have been saved. And trying to prove the negative gets you nowhere. He withheld information from the American people. He's a journalist. He should be ashamed of himself. Full effing stop. There, John, I didn't say it.
So are you going to stop teaching Woodward's stuff in your journalism classes?
No, but I fancy today whether there should be a movement to withdraw his Pulitzer Prize for killing people.
I don't think.
But,
hey, let's do a changelog and end the show.
I'm going to do a changelog, but I'm going to add one more piece of information. On April 19th, there had already been 13,899 deaths.
Yeah.
So there were enough deaths to say, this could get bad.
Good factoid.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
This is serious.
Yeah. Okay. Time for the Google. Well, wait a minute. I got to do this thing.
Oh, this thing. The thing.
Coming up next, the Google changelog. It's coming up. And now it's time for
how long do we have to wait for it, Leo? Tell us.
Mr. Jarvis.
And now there may or may not be an ad here. I don't know. And now it's time. Let's play the drums. Or trumpets, whatever those are called.
Sorry, Leo.
Why are you apologizing? I
enjoyed that. That was fun.
Hey, this is cool. That's cool. This is cool.
Right back.
That's autoplay. Autoplay. You don't know what's going to happen next. Google's got this new verified calls feature. It's coming to Android phones. Verified calls will display the caller's name, their logo, but a company, when it's making business calls, can now add why they're calling.
And want to scam you.
And yeah, and
I would like to sell you something.
how's your sighting? And there will be a verification symbol that will indicate the call has been verified by Google. So if you're a legitimate business,
verified how?
With Google's amazing information.
But think about this. I get business calls
magnificent.
all the time. Maybe it's from somebody, maybe your car is done, kind of a call.
It's Karnak updated for the mobile era.
Yeah.
I just know that it's a good call.
What the hell is Karnak?
God. Another rat hole.
Oh, no. Okay, no. Sorry, I didn't ask. I don't care. I'll Google it. Go.
Oh, you do? Now he's going to show you. Now he's going to show you who Karnak is.
Here, we'll do this. Jeff and I will do this.
Snapper,
Jeff and I will do this. Imagine I'm wearing a giant purple satin turban, and you've got an envelope in your hand. No, I have an envelope, and I'm putting it to my head, and I am saying, "Sis boom ba." Sis boom ba. And then I give this to you, Jeff. You open the envelope, and you say,
I don't have the punchline for you, so you're going to have to do
what is the sound made by an exploding sheep? That's Karnak the Magnificent. In a nutshell.
It's Johnny Carson. It's an American icon.
It's a Johnny Carson bit.
Wait, Ant, did you know who Karnak was?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Whoa, Uncle Ant, thank you.
How did you know, Ant? Is this something you saw?
My grandparents used to watch the Johnny Carson show.
Oh, his grandparents. Okay. Watch and learn, children.
Just a little bit of a
watch and learn.
Gag was that break up.
Because he knows the joke, but he's laughing.
Trouble divining this one?
So the idea is he's a mind reader, right? He's reading an envelope and he's saying sis boom ba. It's the answer to a question. He opens the envelope.
Boom ba.
He always blows in the envelope.
He always did that.
Describe the sound made when a sheep explodes.
Now, in order to laugh at that, you also have to know that sis boom ba was the cheer. Who was it? Whose cheer was that? I'm trying to remember it. Now Karnak, if I look it up.
I don't remember the cheer.
And now it goes to Karnak.
It's a cheerleading chant. Originally from 1867.
That's how old we are, Stacy. Yep.
And actually, it imitates the sound of a skyrocket flight. The burst of the fireworks, boom, and the reaction of the crowd.
Stacy, you had to ask, didn't you? You see what you started? You had to ask. You could have just let it go. Karnak reference.
You're right. I'm sorry. I just was
confused. Cheerleaders at the University of Texas, after they were saying, "I've been working on the railroad," would chant "Sis Boom Ba."
Oh my gosh!
One more. One more Karnak joke.
You really
no more Karnak. No more Karnak. Keep going. Moving on. Changelog. Android 11. Let's talk about it.
Okay, you can choose to leave this in or edit it out. It's up to you. This is from 1974. I think this is going to get us taken down by the Johnny Carson.
Yeah, probably will be.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very exciting night for us. Not only are all the members
the
of
great
our
Ed
NBC family
McMahon
here with us,
Look
we
at
also
that
have
tie.
a great visitor
3
from
feet
the East,
wide.
the famous seer, sage, all-knowing, all-seeing, all-omniscient, and former master of ceremonies at a house of pies. Ladies and gentlemen, Karnak the Magnificent.
So this is what passed for comedy in the 70s. Now, I should also tell you, he would do this as a regular bit, and he will watch, as he enters, stumble over the step, because he did
always.
Every time. Go ahead, John. Let's roll that tape. It's Johnny in a cape and a giant. And I was wrong. It's red turban. Watch. Every time he stumbles on that step. Every time. I guess this is from an era when...
When we didn't know what funny was.
There's an article a while back about how sitcom writing, if you go back and look at it, it's horrible compared to what we see today.
Yeah. Well, even today, if you watch my favorite geek show, The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I like Big Bang
And if you
Theory.
take the laugh track out, it's not funny. It's like, that's not a joke, but people are laughing.
Yeah.
It's not funny. So shall we do one here? Let's do one.
Silence, please, as I divinely...
Yes, hermetically sealed.
Yes, I understand that.
Funk and Waggle's porch.
Funk and Waggle's front porch in a mayonnaise.
Which means that no one could even open it up if they wanted.
That's right.
Except you.
That's true.
He's going to say something about a camel nesting in your bippy or something. That happens too, yeah.
1,000 clowns.
1,000 clowns.
1,000 clowns.
That's what I said.
It's very formulaic, but that's part of what's funny about it, I guess.
Who put together the NBC fall schedule?
So that's funny because the affiliates, we should mention, are in the audience for that one. Because he mentioned our NBC families in the audience, right?
So
it's good shtick, right?
Well, in its time, Ant, in its time.
I should just point out,
your grandparents loved it.
He was hugely influential on my style of comedy.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What David Letterman was to the next generation,
yeah.
Johnny Carson was. So Cheers, you were on sitcoms a minute ago. Stacey's dying. I love it. Cheers, there was a really interesting analysis I just put up of its premiere episode. And
Stacey's going to ram the mic into her eye here in a minute.
I have my TV Guide column there, being a former TV Guide TV critic.
Yes.
Which I said that Cheers was perhaps the perfect show, the best ever. It's all there online.
Wow.
I disagree. But
you're wrong.
There have been better shows since, so it's not, you're not.
Well, since perhaps. No.
Here, ladies and gentlemen, I give you, just to prove your theory, this is a modern sitcom, The Big Bang Theory, without a laugh track.
Nothing makes beer taste better than cool, clear Rocky Mountains spring water. Where are the Rocky Mountains anyway?
Philadelphia.
Really? I thought they were out west someplace.
Think about it, Raj. Where did the movie Rocky take place?
Philadelphia. Okay, now I get it.
Let me know if you hear a joke in there. So it's funny though, because there were a lot of laughs, which we didn't.
It's like
hear.
going to a Rodney Dangerfield show, which I did a couple times.
Yeah.
And the stuff was never funny, but you laughed your ass off.
I like Rodney
because
Dangerfield.
it was part of being in the atmosphere.
I don't get over. Back me. All right. Google's
Stacey,
Area 120.
Stacy, do you know who Rodney Dangerfield is? Thank goodness.
Unfortunately.
What was his main line, Stacy? What was his? Let's prove this now. Let's see if you really know. All
I can think of is Alice to the Moon because it's so old.
No. That's Jackie Gleason on the Honeymooners.
Oh, Jesus.
Apparently,
I don't get no respect. I don't get no respect.
Let me get my other foot out of my grave. Oh, jeez.
I don't want This Week in Google to turn into two old guys making fun of the young person.
It already has, Leo.
Ant is younger than I am.
No, the younger person's making fun of us.
I'm not making. I simply asked who Karnak was.
Statler and Waldorf explain comedy to a young person.
Statler and
Can
Waldorf.
we? Okay, back.
Keep going.
You know who Statler and Waldorf are, right?
Those are the cranky men in the Muppets.
Good.
Please tell me those are the cranky men in the Muppets.
Google's Area 1, yes, they are. Google's Area 120 launches Orion Wi-Fi, a service that allows carriers in need of better service to rent public venue Wi-Fi networks. I don't even understand.
Is this like because the hotel's ripping you off? I don't understand.
So Area 120 is the blue sky research arm of Google, right? Area 120, experimental stuff. Later, sometimes becomes a business. They've created this thing, Orion Wi-Fi. Here's their description. As you walk into the grocery store, Orion helps the local network tell the carrier about its price and quality. If the carrier decides the connection is good enough, we'll auto-connect you. If the quality is too low, we won't. When you're connected, internet traffic flows over the Wi-Fi network just as if you had connected directly to the Wi-Fi. Orion cannot access users' internet traffic. I don't understand what this does.
I don't understand at all. The grocery store says, why would we do that?
This is kind of like phone or whatever Comcast and stuff do, where they take available public Wi-Fi but instead of just giving it to their users, they're selling it to carriers? Is that what's happening here?
I don't know. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of an
Pepe
interesting arbitrage thing. But yeah, go on.
Cacio e pepe. We have some in the freezer. Did you eat it, John? Yeah, you didn't eat it yet? Okay. We have some in the freezer.
Oh, John, how can you be so inhuman that you would delay this pleasure?
He said it's just some spaghetti with cheese.
I got more at home than I ate.
It's not good reheated.
John.
It's got to be fresh.
Hey, here's a good thing. Now you
have
can.
You tried it yet? Stacey, you need to try it. I'm telling you, it's good.
Cacio e pepe? I eat it all the time.
The cacio e pepe, the Trader Joe's cacio e pepe, the frozen.
Oh, I don't have a Trader Joe's anywhere near me.
Oh, poor you. You need to move back to Texas.
I thought they were from Seattle.
Yeah. No.
Okay. By near me, I mean on the island on which I live.
Oh, on the island. There's no Trader
excuse
Joe's
me.
On the island.
I have a town and country and a Safeway.
Mama Jama's Juice
Stacey.
Shack.
This is worth going over a bridge.
It's a ferry. A 35-minute, $20 ferry.
It's $20? Oh, wow. I didn't realize.
Keep it.
Is there a bridge somewhere?
There's a bridge to
on the other side.
Peninsula, which is rural, and then I can drive all the way around Tacoma for an hour and a half.
That's too far, yeah. Oh, you're really living in the sticks.
I'm going to have fiber in a month.
Do you like it?
I do most of the time. I mean, most of the time I don't mind taking the ferry, and the ferry has summer rates, which is why it's expensive now.
They should have local rates, like, I live here, so I should get a deal.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it is public transportation, so I'm paying for it, and, I am able to live on an island.
That's cool. I want to do that. But like you, I would have to pay for life evacuation insurance, medevac insurance. That's another story for another day. Google Podcasts for Android. This is good news. Allows you to cast. It's on the now playing screen. There's now a cast button. So if you're listening, this is a good reason to use Google Podcasts. You can now cast it to your home theater system or anything else with Chromecast or casting available. I guess you could cast it to a Google speaker, your Google Home Max or something. And I like this. Karsten's padding a little bit because there are only 4 stories in the changelog, and 2 of them are Google's Area 120 launches Orion Wi-Fi.
If you didn't understand it the first time, you'll get it the second time, you fools.
And that's the Google changelog. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Let us wrap this pleasant.
Has this been a 5-hour show?
Sojourn.
Jeez.
It feels like it. This show is longer than any other show I do for some reason.
Is it?
It's Jeff's fault.
No. We do get.
You asked about Karnak.
We do get digressions, but I think it's because we enjoy hanging out with each other, and it's
that's a big part of it.
Yeah. I just wish the listeners felt that way too. Actually, I always start with Stacey's thing. Let's start with Ant's stuff today.
Oh, mine's easy. At the time of recording this show, Filmic Pro announced a new feature with their with their iOS and Android mobile app that allows you to get clean HDMI out with your camera to be used as a webcam in your computer setup. Now, I must say, Filmic Pro, this is an app I've used for quite a while now, but when you go to buy that app, it's a $15 app.
Yeah, but I own it because that was the one that was going to have use all 3 cameras and record all 3 at the same time. Did they ever add that feature?
I don't recall.
They put it in a free little app, but I wonder if they put it in the Filmic Pro app ever.
It's probably in there by now.
By now, it ought to be. Yeah. That's great news. So how do I get HDMI out? Oh, there's a dongle, isn't there?
Yep. You
Lightning
just get a
HDMI.
dongle. And get a dongle that actually has a USB-C power supply on it.
Yes.
Where you can plug in some power to it as well, and you'll be good to go. Like I said, I've used them for other things that I've done with my smartphone and gimbals, because their app also ties into smartphone gimbals and allows you to do different controls with the video on the gimbal's hardware. It's a really good app, and seeing that they're sort of thinking forward with, heck, everybody's doing all of these Zooms and Skypes and things like that. And if you try to look up a Logitech C920 on Amazon,
good luck.
Not going to find one.
No.
Will it be better than the Logitech that makes me think?
You got a good camera. Yeah.
Your smartphone camera is.
Yeah. You think? Yeah.
Oh.
Nice.
Put a nice light in front of it and put it on a tripod and good to go.
I'm going to play with that tonight. I'm doing what you're doing.
John, you're going to have to help me do it when it comes.
I need to buy a dongle for my Android device, because nowadays most of the smartphones only have one I/O port on them. So I need to get a dongle that's going to allow me to be able to connect HDMI out, as well as add power to my smartphone. Because when you're shooting video, you're going to chew through the battery, and Filmic knows that and says, "Hey, get a dongle that'll let you do both."
I have just re-downloaded Filmic Pro. That's fantastic. Paid for it a while ago. My pick of the week is something you can pick up at your local Trader Joe's. It's something we like to call cacio e pepe, which is just Italian for spaghetti and pepper.
It's really effing good. Now, don't get scared when you open it up. The cacio is little squares that, of course, microwave melt out, but it's spectacular. It is spectacular.
According to the cover, spaghetti pasta and a rich, creamy sauce with pecorino romano cheese and black pepper. That's my pick of the week. Stacy, what's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is IFT Pro. This morning, IFT launched a pro service for consumers. This means a lot of things, but what it mostly means is you now can have your triggers they can set off multiple actions, and you can also do queries with your triggers. So if I say, if my Android device comes within a certain range and my Yale lock is locked, do the following. So there's a lot more things that can happen. The caveat here is it costs money.
Yeah.
The other thing it does, so they want to get us to a $9.99 subscription fee, but they're willing to accept $1.99 until you feel like the service is worth it. So the idea being you pay what you want, but at least $1.99. If you decide not to pay, then you only get the applets that are available to you already from the brands and 3 custom ones that you have made.
Oh, so they're also limiting the free plan considerably.
Yes.
Oh.
But you also get faster service if you pay, and you get support, which has never existed. So it's basically trying to compete with Zapier or some of the more robust paid services out there.
So I pay for Zapier, but I have used If This Then That for a long time.
I like Zapier for lots of like web-based things, but they don't have that many smart home things.
Right.
Now, they say only about 25% of their users are actually doing smart home stuff.
Oh, interesting.
So, but as a smart home person, most of my devices are on IFT. And so, like, I was actually playing with air quality sensors right now, given the thing. So I'm like, maybe if my air quality sensor tells me the air quality is disintegrating, my lights can turn red and flash. And my Windows sensors say my windows are open, then do this. Ta-da!
Multi-step zaps, which are a big part of Zapier, really are great. I use them in a lot of ways. And that was always one negative of If This and That. It's only 2 things, if this, then that. So I think this is a huge improvement. I don't know if it's worth $10 a month. If I say $3.99, which notice they don't put $1.99. You have to enter that by hand if you're going to be that cheap. But if I put $3.99, which I think would be fair, would it be that forever, I wonder? Or at some point are they going to?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, they
don't
can't
really
charge
say.
you more without telling you.
Right.
They will let you know when the price goes
Right.
up. But, I had Lyndon's going to be on the podcast tomorrow, and then I wrote a story today based on our conversation. But the idea is he really cynically, he doesn't want to piss everyone off because that's been happening a lot. But I do think he's acknowledging that for 10 years, people have been using IFT for free.
Right.
And this is going to piss a lot of people off, especially his hardcore users. But those hardcore users, I think, could be enticed with, faster, I was going to say faster latency, but lower latency, faster service.
Right.
And actual really complicated and good applets. So I'm going to try it. I think it's possible, too. It might help me save. Like, I could actually do things with this that I couldn't do with Wink, or that I could do with Wink. So now I don't have to have a Wink subscription. And it's possible, like, if I took my smart cameras, like my Arlo feeds, and I put them into like a drive, maybe I wouldn't have to pay for that subscription. So it might save me money. I'm still playing with it and looking at it to see.
Yeah, I pay $20 a month for Zapier. So $10 a month I shouldn't be so cheap, would be a good deal. It's just that I already have Zapier. We use Zapier a lot.
Sponsor?
They used to be a sponsor, right?
Are they still
former
a sponsor?
sponsor?
I think former. I would say if they were a current sponsor, but I don't think they are. So, but they could come back. So I should say sponsor-ish.
In the past, they have been a sponsor.
And I do use them a lot. It's how we get all of those stories about the Orion Wi-Fi in the changelog.
Changelog.
So it isn't. Zapier's got a free tier, which gives you 5 zaps, which isn't too bad, but it gets pretty expensive pretty rapidly. So I wonder, I'm guessing, are there other things besides Zapier? If this, then that's been around forever. But I think I would guess that Zapier was starting to beat him.
It's the closest competitor I can think of.
So I've just subscribed to If This Then That Pro, and so I'll play with this a little bit. Yeah, because I've always had in my heart, I've always thought, I want them to succeed. So, and I look forward to seeing Lyndon Tibbetts on your show or listening on your show tomorrow. That's great.
There is no video component to my show because we record at like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to see Stacey at 6:30 in the morning.
I look mostly like this.
I'm teasing you. Of course you
just
do.
a little less
eye
makeup.
It's not the makeup. It's the, I need my coffee. You don't want to see me at 6 in the morning. Oy. Why do you record so early?
I have to get it to my producer.
Wow.
I know, and we do news, and
what is it about producers that they are so important to the production of a show? Like they really are. People often think the hosts are the most important part of a show, but it's actually not true. It's the producer. Wouldn't you agree, Karsten?
Gets it done.
I mean, I could produce my show, but I don't want to do that.
No, that's the hard work. It really is the hard work.
Yep.
Jeff, your number of the week, my friend.
Hold on, I'm changing it right now.
Oh, it's a new number.
So 49 years ago, a very big deal, Harry Belafonte sat in and hosted The Tonight Show.
That was a big deal.
And so now there is in honor of this, NPR there's a documentary called The Sit-In. Harry Belafonte hosts The Tonight Show.
Nice.
And right now on MSNBC on the readout, they're talking about it. That's how I knew about it.
Wow, that's a big deal. Yeah. What year was that?
Well, what's today versus minus 49? 1968.
68. So the Civil Rights Act had been passed for 4 years. You would think
that math doesn't work out. Yes, it does. Sorry.
Yeah. You would think that by then having a black man host The Tonight Show would be no big deal. But it was.
AC, do you know who
that was right?
Belafonte was?
Yes, I do, because I like music.
Good.
What's his famous song?
Dale.
Dale.
Dale. Daylight to come and me want to go home.
I feel young again.
Day. Oh. Our mask of the week from this is our newest intern, Carson's son Zach, modeling the. We have pictures of Zach and Alex wearing it in the red doom of the Bay Area.
It looks like it has two old TV clickers on either cheek.
Those are the big respirators. These are the 3M Tech TEKK protection full face respirator. Now, Karsten, tell me it doesn't have an outbound valve, that it protects both the wearer and people around them. Otherwise, I can't recommend it.
Well, no one's going to get within 6 feet of you if you're wearing that thing. So
I would love to. I actually would love to have this. How much is it? Did you buy them for the whole family? He also recommends the stylish yet comfortable face cover, $15.97 from Verde. It's just basic. I don't think this is going to work. It's just a basic plastic. More than a face shield, the aerodynamics allow it to be used even as a wind deflector for cycling.
So let me ask you a question.
Wear a mask, folks. Don't wear that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I feel like we could actually do a service for people. So I bought the #1 Wall Street Journal mask pick from their article a little bit ago.
Yes.
And would y'all like to hear how it performs or not?
Yes.
Please and thank you.
So I feel like these masks are cool, but maybe not as helpful. And I am looking more for like everyday mask wear. Sorry, Karsten. This is the #1 Wall Street Journal pick. I'll tell you who makes it in like a Wayre, Wayre. And it's a 5-layer mask. And they say it features a thoughtful face enveloping design and a silky touch fabric. It's $18 unless you buy them in bulk.
It looks good.
So this is the mask. It actually does pin to your face, and it's super lightweight and comfortable. It's kind of breathable. The downside is the material is not awesome when it comes to washing. You have to hand wash it.
Oh.
You cannot put it in the washer. And I'm sad because it has the stretchy these thingies, and you get to custom fit it. So it's very comfortable, but it's not maybe practical. So I was just going to let y'all know that because.
So one of the other ways you can sterilize a mask is by ironing it.
Oh, this has us spraying isopropyl alcohol on it for like 15.
Okay,
and
so you don't have to
dry out.
wash it each time. You could just spray alcohol on it,
But then you got to let it set for a long time while the alcohol evaporates.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're like, oh.
I have to stand by the masks that I make, which I feel the more I learn about them, I feel like they're really good, which is use 600 thread count cotton, 2 layers, one layer of either chiffon or silk in between. The silk or chiffon uses static to stop aerosolized particles, and the cotton on both sides protects the people around you from the spume from your coughing, but also when I wear it with my mask fitter, I also am only breathing through the mask, and I believe that gives me, according to the research I've read, close to N95, 95% protection against aerosolized particles. So, you can also do that wear a fitter with a surgical mask, which I think is going to give you an N95 as well. So these are inexpensive. These are disposable though, so they're not really good on the
Maybe you don't want it.
Yes. But
because the New York Times has a fascinating story, and it's just a theory.
Yes.
But the theory is that masks being imperfect let a little bit of the virus in. And we know that you need a major load.
Nothing's 100%.
So enough in that it creates a kind of crude vaccine and vaccination.
Yeah, variolation.
This is...
Yeah. Yep. And then even if it's
I learned
not
about this on Peter the Great.
Even if it's not a vaccine, it is the case that you will have a much milder case of it if you get a smaller dose.
If you have a smaller viral load, yes.
And it's unknown whether it provides any preventative effect, but it certainly
a theory.
Is known to be a less serious viral load. I think with the fitter, and this is worn a lot of times in medical offices, you'll see these in dental practices a lot, that seals what would normally be open sides on a paper surgical mask. But you know what? I like that wear. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's very comfortable.
Shop WAYRE.com. I guess they make clothing as well, but they also make masks. So there you go.
And I'm not trying to poo-poo Karsten's things. I just like Like, I really need some.
No, you're
some,
right.
like,
Karsten's
practical
gone a
advice
little
on-
bit into the Burning Man side of masking.
Yeah.
Which are cool.
The steampunk masks.
Yeah. And I think we can safely say, despite the politics of the whole thing, that every serious scientist agrees masks are effective. They flatten the curve. They reduce your chance of infecting somebody else, an asymptomatic individual affecting people. And they may even, if worn properly and maintained properly, protect you from people in your environment. And so everybody at Twit is always masked. John is masked right now. The only person who's not is me when I'm in either this part of the studio or in my office. And this I can wear forever. This is very comfortable. I usually wear it with I don't have it with me, the face shield. So I think that helps a little bit. And I like the fact that it keeps strangers away. And you can hear me pretty well, right? Yeah. I don't sound muffled, do I? No.
Is this the longest show we've ever made?
No, not even close. Well, if we do
like it.
3 more minutes, right, John? 5 more. We'd have to do 5 more minutes.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't need to set a record now. I have Cacio e Pepe awaiting me.
I need a drink. I've been recording and performing since 6:30 today.
Well, this was my easy week, Stacey. This week I was only on Zoom today for 8 hours. Last week it was 11.
You know, if you would like, I will be glad to make this show a lot shorter from now on.
No.
I don't want you to
No, I
suffer.
enjoy it. Don't ask Stacey.
Honestly,
I don't want to hear her answer. I enjoy it.
I make it long only because I don't want to stop. But,
I have fun, too. I do, too.
I can be disciplined. Stacey.
Is there anybody left listening now?
No. No, we can say anything we want at this point because they've all disappeared. Anybody out there? Crickets. I hear crickets.
I was on my college radio station.
Yeah.
And I offered $20 to the first person who would call in. Nobody called in.
Nobody called in.
Wait, did Ant go away? Because Ant, what is your thought here?
How long would you like the
still
show
here.
to be, sir?
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just watching.
Like 2 hours feels like a good show unless there's like a lot of news.
This is fun. Think of the fun we would have lost in the last hour. The whole Karnak thing would have been lost to posterity. I mean, Stacey, how dare you steal that joy from history?
That's true. Apparently several people in the chat room were like, Karnak, who is that? So I don't feel so lost.
There is the course existential question that if a podcast is produced but no one listens, does it matter? Is it a podcast? It doesn't make any noise.
Or is it just a ridiculous phone call?
Yeah. Stardenburdenhardenbart. It is time to say farewell to our friend Stacey Higginbotham. She is the star of Stacey on IoT.com. Follow her at GigaStacey on the Twitter. Keep up on her events. You got a new one coming up anytime soon?
Oh, I'm announcing it. Oh, tomorrow.
Yay!
It is. You can have a Oh, see, I've lost words. Lost words. I'll tell you about it next week.
We'll have a shriek meek a little later on. Ant Pruitt, host of Fans on Hamburgerity. He believes in love. Nice. Are you doing your next hands-on photography? You're going to do studio food, right?
I'm going to show you how to create that shot right there in your home.
Food.
Ooh, I want to watch that. Do you do product? Is that going to be equivalent to shooting products and making them look pretty? And
yes, ma'am.
Keep wearing those glasses. Don't ever take them off.
Yes, ma'am. Single light.
Never take them off.
I love it. Never I'm tuning in.
Yay.
My photos are terrible.
Hop. There's a new show of Hop every when? Friday? Thursday?
Hop is every Thursday at about 2 o'clock.
Nice.
Pacific.
The glasses have confused the focus on your camera.
I know. It says, I want love. Whatever love is, I want to focus on that.
Wait, when is your wellness one? Because that one is delightful.
Hands-on Wellness 2 is another great one. When do you do that, Ant? What time? What day?
Hands-on Wellness is about, I believe it's 11 a.m. Pacific on Fridays.
So Thursday it's Hop. Friday it's How.
That's right.
And you just
and also wear your mask, people.
Thank you.
As you can see with my model behind me there, wearing her mask. You can wear yours too.
We are all about the masks here at Twit. There's no dissent about that. Jeff Jarvis, however, will be seen in the next Trump boat parade. Without him, he's going. You look like you're going to Sturgis, to be honest with you. You'll find him at buzzmachine.com, at Jeff Jarvis on the Twitter. And don't forget, he's the director. How could we ever forget it? The Town Knight Center for Entrepreneurial Journalism at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City of University of New York, New York. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with us. This is always my favorite day of the week because I get to do this show with you guys. Thank you. Former TV guide critic Jeff Jarvis. Thank you, everybody. We do Twig. Well, it's about 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. That would be 2100 UTC. You can watch the live version of the show, which, believe it or not, is actually 7 hours long at twit.tv. twit.tv/live.
You get to hear Stacy snore. It's a lot of fun.
On and on. She goes
Tune in to see angry Stacy attack the mic.
If you can't do a live thing, you can always do the on-demand show because it is a podcast at twit.tv/twig or YouTube, or subscribe in your favorite podcast client so you get it the minute it's available after we finish. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with us for this long marathon. We love you. Stay safe. We want to see you next week on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
I'm Jason Howell, host of Hands on Android, where each week I take a look at the Android operating system and really dive deep into what it can do for you and how it can improve your quality of life, whether it be tips and tricks on how to use it better, whether it can be little-known secrets that open up a world of possibilities. So many topics to dive into, including your emails. Subscribe by going to twit.tv/HOA. We'll see you there.